What's up, everybody? Art Turner, Data Productions Media, Dreams Are Tangible Aspirations, and I'm excited to bring you guys a new video series today. It's going to be a Gematria Decoding Masterclass. This is going to be Module 1, so I do plan on doing more of these in the future. A lot of my subscribers and viewers of my videos ask me, how do I find these decodes? I can't find these myself. Hey, what do you think about this situation, that stock? And look, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I can't look at everything. All right, but what I can do is, create videos, educational videos where people can look at and reference when they try to figure out this knowledge themselves. Okay, and so before we get into the module, maybe just go over this quote, this famous quote. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Okay, and this is important. When I started getting into the Gematria decodings, when I found Zachary K. Hubbard on his channel, the Kobe situation, I had a lot of questions. And, I watched his channel for a while. And when I was building up my YouTube channel with my documentaries before I started to implement Gematria, I had so many questions I want to ask him. How do you do this? How do you do that? I don't want to mess up. And I still want to have that conversation with Zach one day, maybe in an interview we do in the future. But, I just looked at myself and said, hey, if I'm going to go down this route, I got to do it myself. I got to teach myself how to fish if I'm going to use this knowledge so I can, be looked at least as a credible person of source of knowledge, when I discuss this with other people. Iron sharpens iron. And you just got to get down and dirty and figure things out yourself. So, this module is going to be the perspective of, Art Turner, Data Productions Media, and we'll get into the nuances. Okay, just a masterclass disclaimer. While I am calling this a masterclass, I am by no means a master of this knowledge. I have been decoding for under a year at the time of this upload. I've been watching, Gematria videos since, the Kobe situation, which is over a year at this point. But I really didn't start getting into the decoding until, the summertime and things along those lines when I decided that I was going to go down this route for my sports documentary making and stuff. So, but I will say I've been feverishly studying and learning from other talented Gematria decoders from across the web and reading their books, going online, reading their articles. So, I'm very passionate about this knowledge and learning about it, but I'm also passionate of, exposing it to the world as well, because like I said, if I can teach somebody else how to fish, that can help me out when, we're decoding stocks or situations, and it could benefit the whole community. If we have more soldiers who know how to do these things, it just makes us stronger. So I'm happy to do this. I do want to give a shout out to all the talented decoders out there that I've learned from, I've gotten ideas from, and perspectives from. Obviously, Zachary K. Hubbard, his YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News, Gematria Effect Sports. In my opinion, he's the godfather of modern day Gematria decoding. From my knowledge, he's been, on the YouTube platform for over, 7 years, being, censored multiple times. His account's getting taken down, but he always comes back, and he always has a big following, and that's for a reason, because he does great work. He provides value to people, and that's why I consider him the, the godfather of Gematria. Even if you don't agree, if you have, your other sentiments, that's okay. That's your opinion. This is mine. This is my channel. I'll have mine. But let me know in the comments what you feel, because I feel like sometimes, people all get their panties in a bunch with Zach sometimes. It doesn't have to be like that. But again, I found him through the Kobe situation. Another godfather of the Gematria is Derek. I'm sorry if I'm get your name wrong. Takuri Derek. His YouTube channel is GematriaNator85. He's also the creator of the GematriaNator.com calculator. Without him, my channel wouldn't be possible. Zach's channel wouldn't be possible. Obviously, there's other Gematria calculators out there, but I really like his platform. It's really easy, aesthetically pleasing, and I see a lot of people who aren't even active decoders, but use his website. So we got to protect Derek at all costs. Um, whatever we got to do to make sure Gematria Nader stays up, I'm willing to do, and make sure you subscribe to his channel as well because he does good work. Shout out Derek for what you do. Rambo, another big shout out. I love his historical decodings, his symbolism decodings on Rambo's Corner. You usually can see him on Zach's live shows on Wednesdays, I believe. Free to Find Truth on Wednesdays. Rambo's Corner. He always steals the show. He always has great information. A very smart decoder, and I've learned a lot. And there's a lot of techniques I use in my stuff that he uses. Brother Berg, I want to give a shout out to this guy. He's on Twitter. His handle name is Extra Caspa on Twitter. Excellent decoding with dates and celebrities. This guy's really talented. Cut from the same cloth of the people of above. And, he's doing a lot of great things on the Twitter platform, waking people up with this alphanumeric. So I want to give a shout out to him and go follow him. Roderick and Victor, they're good Patreon sports bettors with Gematria. If you like to do sports betting and know how to beat the system in the rigged games, you guys want to follow these guys on their Patreon. Give them support. They're helping a lot of people in this community to make money. Personally, for me, I'm not that good of a Gematria sports bettor decoder. And, there's other people that are way better than me. So I'm going to stay in my lane and do what I do. I'm going to let Roderick, Victor, and Zach handle the sports betting side of things because they've already produced results, okay? I also want to give a shout out to a young decoder, Kayla Decode Talker. Go follow her on her YouTube channel. She's amazing. I like seeing what she does. Very witty, very smart. So go follow her channel, Kayla Decode Talker. And another a young decoder is Conscious X. He's great at exposing role-playing celebrities in the entertainment industry. He's really good at that. And he has a really interesting way he sees Gematria and when he uses it. A really interesting technique. So follow all these people. You'll learn a lot from everyone on this list as I have. And it's just, building on top of how I see things. But you need mentors. You need people to sharpen your iron off of your brain. So go follow these guys. So these are Data Production's pre-decoding pillars. Before we get into any of the basics, we got to have structure and pillars to work off of, okay? This is important. So number one, everyone perceives the creator's code differently. Try not to judge or criticize someone's decoding method. If you feel as though they can improve to give more concise readings, be a teacher. We are all on the same team in trying to figure out our matrix in our creator's message. Awareness is the goal, not who is better at finding the messages. Okay? Sometimes in the truth community, we kind of eat at ourselves because we're like, oh, your truth isn't correct. Oh, you're not finding this correctly, and that shouldn't be the case. We're all on the same team, and we're trying to build that awareness as a collective. And if we keep bringing each other down because you don't agree with how their method of doing things or you don't agree with their perception of truth, man, we're going right into the hands of the world controllers. So that's number one. Pillar number one, everyone perceives the creator's code differently. Number two, do not fit a square peg in a round hole. While decoding, use common sense. Have a systematic reason for the decode you are deciphering. While the decode practices vary, it at least must make logical sense to others who want to learn from it. This is important. Common and logical sense will help others absorb the knowledge better. Come on. I shouldn't have to go too much into this. Use common sense, logical sense. Don't how Gematria works is really hard to not be logical, but sometimes people can. So that's pillar number two. Number three, we live in a world of polarity, so there are positive and negative charges in everything in this realm, including numbers. Sometimes the number 33 The master teacher number gets a bad reputation because it's frequently used by the Freemasons and world controllers. But as they are using it for quote unquote nefarious or bad purposes, it can be used for good as well. As above, so below, okay? Which I tend to do myself with this specific number, which is, really prevalent in my life. A positively charged 33 is good for humanity. My last name, Turner, equals 33, and I think I'm helping, humanity with this knowledge. And I'm not a Mason, I'm not a Freemason, so take it for what it is. But these are the data productions media's pre-decoding pillars. All right, they're all important, and it takes the ego out of it. All you got to do is say, hey, people perceive things differently. Be logical, and everything has a positive and negative charge on this planet. So not everything's bad with these numbers, and things can be good. And so if you've watched my videos in the past, you've seen this Gematria tutorial on all my videos, because I want to make sure people can at least understand Gematria if it's their first time on the channel. So I'm going to play this tutorial. If you've already seen this tutorial through my videos, just hit the timestamp to when we get to talking about the 4 base ciphers, when we get into the basics. But if you haven't watched this tutorial before and you're still new to Gematria, watch it now. Gematria is a numerological system by which Hebrew letters correspond to numbers, but we will be utilizing the English alphabet for our decoding today. So, in simple terms, ABC equals 1, 2, 3. This system, developed by practitioners of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, derived from Greek influence, and became a tool for interpreting biblical texts. One can then calculate the numerical value of a word by adding together the values of each letter in it. In the realm of biblical interpretation, commentators based an argument on numerological equivalence of words. If a word's numerical value equals that of another word, a commentator might draw a connection between these two words and the verses in which they appear, and use this to prove a larger conceptual conclusion. Gematria is essential to Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition. The very basis of the Kabbalistic cosmological system rests on the beliefs that God created the universe through letters, numbers, and words. Indeed, the many names of God and their permutations in Kabbalah have numerical values that are believed to contain potent power. And for numerology, it is a study of numbers in your life. You can uncover information about the world and also each individual person by using numerology. Numerology is seen as a universal language of numbers. So when you add Gematria and numerology together, you have a powerful combination of occult knowledge to work with while breaking down games. There are many different ciphers one can use, but the top 4 we will be using are the English ordinal, ABC equals 1, 2, 3, its reverse, where Z equals 1 and A equals 26. Then we have the pure English reduction ciphers, or otherwise called the Pythagorean cipher, which is A equals 1 all the way to I equals 9. Then it resets at J equaling 1, K equals 2, and so on, and then it's reverse. So how I can make these calculations really quick and really easy is going to gematrianator.com. It has all the different ciphers you can use. It starts with the top 4 ciphers that we primarily will use on this page, but it can get even deeper with that with other ciphers. So go check this out once you want to do your own research. Thank you to Derek, the creator of the Gematrianator website. Go check out his YouTube channel, Gematrianator85. Or you can have the Gematria calculator on the app. That's from Zachary K. Hubbard. That will help you with your research as well. Shout out to Zachary K. Hubbard for waking me up to the scripting not only in sports, but in regular day society. Check out his YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. This may be confusing at first, but this is a systematic code that was created thousands of years ago. And to put it bluntly, religion is a major part of our world. The elite ruling class have been using sport since the Roman times to cast spells and captivate the population. Okay guys, hopefully you have some good context of where Gematria comes from, the spiritual side of things, the religious side of things. So it's good to have that type of base. So now we can get into the 4 base ciphers we will use, which is English ordinal, reverse English ordinal, the reduction cipher or Pythagorean cipher, which uses the numerology rules, and the reverse reduction Pythagorean cipher, again with the numerology rules. So those are the 4 base ciphers: the ordinal and its reverse, and the reduction and its reverse. So why are these considered the 4 base ciphers? Well, English is the most used language in the world. When spellcasting to a large group of people, it'd probably be best for you to use the most popular way of communicating. It's not that hard. Again, it's the most common language in the world, so that's why these are the base ciphers. You know, it's you can cast out the largest spell possible, and people will understand it. If they understand English even a little bit, they're able to absorb the symbolism. The reduction Pythagorean cipher is considered the most pure cipher because it incorporates numerology as well, reducing each letter that has a double-digit value into a single-digit number, combining the 2 powerful alphanumerical practices together to get a sharp and concise look at whatever you're looking into. If you wanted to be a gematria purist, this the reduction cipher is the one you use. But on the flip side of things, your vision is limited if you only use that cipher solely, and you'll see a good example as to why. But say if we lived in a world and you can only have one gematria cipher, the one that you probably get the most concise readings would be the Pythagorean reduction cipher. And the reverse of these ciphers play an important role as well, because it's mirroring the original ciphers. It can give more clues into the story being decoded. I'll dive more into using reverse decoding later on this presentation, and when we break down various ways to uncover connections to paint a bigger picture to the story. So everything plays a role, and when you get good at this, you'll start to see things and how they line up alphanumerically, which is pretty cool when you start really diving deep into this knowledge. So you might ask, what is considered a connection? Remember, data productions media's personal pre-decoding pillars. If you have those in mind, you can start figuring out what's considered a connection. Everyone perceives the creator's code different. There is some leeway in subjectivity when using gematria and numerology. It's an art form, and everyone perceives art differently. Okay? Just use common sense, guys. People will not believe your decodings if they don't have logical patterns. From personal experience in decoding under a year, I found that there seems to be an infinite amount of alphanumerical connections to any situation. So no one should have to make any illogical connections, because there's so many out there. Even for the smallest situations, you don't have to fit a square peg into a round hole. And so please just use common sense. It's not that hard. And so let's get into some of these number matches to just wrap our head around what gematria can do for the matrix and society. And so the first one I want to bring up is love and play. And they equal 54, 18, 54, and 18 in all 4 base ciphers. As you see, love and play. This is important, and how I would interpret it is because love is the highest form of emotion. It's the highest vibration a human can have. Love is everything. When you love yourself, you are a higher version of yourself. When you love somebody else, even not necessarily romantically, but you love someone for being themselves, that energy casts out to them into other people, which raises everybody's vibrations. And that coincides with play. On this realm on earth, we're here to play. We're here to learn. We're just in a big sandbox, and we want to have fun doing it. So playing is exactly like love. It's fun. It's together. And that's why they have the same numerical connections in the 4 base ciphers. And so start thinking, okay, if they have these connections like that, when you see other connections with different words, you can start to see, all right, these are the relationships. Love and play is a big relationship, Love is the highest vibration, and we're here on this realm, on this planet, on this sandbox to play. Play with love. And so we get to the second one, like you'll see. Look, fake gods and language equals 68, 32, 148, and 40 in the 4 base ciphers. Think, fake gods and language. Who is controlling our matrix right now? Who thinks they are God? The fake gods, all right? And how are they controlling our world? With language. They're putting us in a box with letters, numbers, and words and how they see things. And that's why there's a relationship here. Fake gods and language. The fake gods are using language to play God, okay, and constrict us. So that's why this relationship right here between these, this language of word and the 2 words of fake gods is important. All right, you should start seeing things. And the last one for this number match on this slide is my last name Turner and GameStop. All right, so both equal 96, 33, and 39 in 3 of the 4 base ciphers. There's a difference in the reverse ordinal where Turner equals 66 and GameStop equals 120. Now, this is important. There's still a connection, even though they don't all equal, the same number in all the 4 base ciphers. They still equal 3 out of the 4, which is still a very strong connection. Very, very strong. Very, very strong. And it's not a coincidence. And if you watch my GME GameStop short squeeze video, and I talk about how I was a part of the stock way before it squeezed. I recently gotten into investing last year, and I was looking at different stocks to get in, and I liked GameStop because I saw where the price was at the last gaming console cycle with the PS5 and the new Xbox coming out. I got in at $9 with a solid position at 12, with the all-time highs at 60 from the other cycle. So just offhand, I was like, okay, well, it's almost a no-brainer because this cycle is going to be bigger. So I invested in it. I didn't know about my last name equaling up to GameStop until the squeeze happened, until I started getting into the mainstream news. And that's when I started figuring out. So I say this all to say, this was organic. It was organic for me to be a part of that short squeeze, in my opinion. My last name had the vibration that matched up nicely with GameStop. So it kind of just naturally led me towards that stock. That's how I see it. You might see it different, but that's how I see it. And so let's get into some more numerical matches. This one only has 2 matches, but that's okay. That's still a strong connection. Again, mathematically speaking, these words and letters lining up is very small. Is very small of these happening just at a chance. So, this one right here, the matrix game of life in the alphabetic order equals 316 in reverse ordinal and 100 in reverse reduction. Okay? 2 out of the 4 ciphers, these phrases, these statements equal. And so it's still a strong connection. And you can see the relation. The matrix game of life. We live in a matrix. How is our matrix created, manifested? Controlled. It's controlled, manifested, created through the alphabetic order. Okay, remember, fake gods, language. The fake gods created the matrix game of life, and language. They use language to do so. And how do you get language? Well, in English terms, you have the alphabetic order. Okay, you're starting to see. Okay, like start to make sense. And so let's get into one that only has one connection in the base cipher. Well, they had one direct connection in the base cipher, and they have a couple other connections as well. And I do a lot with sports, so I just wanted to drop this in here. God in sports equals 55 in the reverse ordinal. Okay. Remember 55 for later in the video too. God in sports equals 55 in reverse ordinal. So that's the main direct connection. But also, God equals 26 in English ordinal. What equals 26 in reduction? sports. So there's still a connection, and that's where we start getting into the mixing and matching of the 4-base ciphers. Even though it's not a direct connection in 55, you can still make a nice interpretation with a 26 in ordinal and a 26 in reduction. I mean, how does God or the fake gods control the masses? Well, the biggest rituals out there are sports events, so it makes sense. Gods can have these rituals and act like God via sporting events. And there's another connection. We'll get into zeros in the row zero. You see, God equals 17 in reduction, in sports equals 107 in ordinal. We'll get into the role of zero later, but it's just a zero value placeholder, so it holds no energy per se. So 107 is just 17. You starting to see, look, it's all starting to make sense hopefully for you. And another sports connection, Lombardi, as in Vince Lombardi Trophy for the NFL, and Gematria equals 74, 38, 142, and 52 in all 4-base ciphers. So what does that say to me? The NFL uses Gematria to, script their games. That's what I get out of it, and there's a very strong connection. Lombardi, Gematria. All 4-base ciphers, exact same numbers. All right. So hopefully you're starting to get the idea. Again, this is the basics, and more modules to come. We'll get more advanced, but we got to start off from the beginning. We got to build a nice base. Mirroring numbers. So this is just my belief, and if anyone out there who has more experience with Gematria and alphanumerics, please chime in on the comment section. Let me know. I'm trying to learn. I'm still trying to learn again. So don't come with me with negative criticism if you feel like I'm wrong. Just, hey, this is how I feel. This is how I see it, and maybe give an example here or there. I'm the one taking the time to do this, so at least you could do is be respectful, and if you have constructive criticism, just drop it below. Anyway, mirroring numbers. I believe normally when a match is mirrored, it means that energy is going in the opposite direction, or the energy is being perverted. Prime example. Look at God and Mason. God equals 26 in English ordinal, 17 in reduction, 55 in ordinal, and 10 in reverse reduction. Now look at Mason. Mason, as in Freemason, Mason equals 62 in ordinal, 17 in reduction, 73 in reverse ordinal, and 28 in reverse reduction. Now let's just focus on English ordinal and the reduction. God equals 26 in ordinal and 17 in reduction. Mason equals 62 in ordinal and 17 in reduction. So now, let's go to our Gematria purists if they've only wanted to use the reduction cipher with the numerology rules. Okay, they both equal 17 in reduction cipher. So if you're only singly using this cipher, the purest cipher, you can say, okay, God, Mason, you can say, well, the Masons think they play God, so that's why they have that connection there. That's where the relation. But mirroring numbers, and this is why it's good to have more ciphers to have a broader picture. Now look, 17 in God and Mason. God's 26, Mason's 62. What did I say? Usually mirrored numbers sometimes has the energy going in reverse in the opposite direction. So in my opinion, God has, his vibrational, his vibrations of 26, love, positivity, people, being free, sovereignty, and stuff like that. The Masons, 62, they're going in a different direction. They want to play God, like we see in the 17, but their energy is going in the opposite direction. So, not free, slavery, negativity, and things along those lines. So the Masons and God are going in different directions, which we can prove numerically. But you wouldn't see that if you just used the Pythagorean reduction cipher. So that's why it's important to use other ciphers. And there's plenty more ciphers. There's like tens of 20 ciphers we could go over, and we'll go into in other modules, but we're going to keep it for the basics for module 1. So this is the mirroring numbers, and I think it's one of the best examples where you can see, look, God's going one way, positivity, being free, sovereignty. Mason's going the other way, negativity, control. But they both still play God, per se. The role is 0. The number 0 is a value placeholder, so 0 is 0, which means it has no energetic level. Just for a quick example, the phrase Gematria footprint of God equals 340 in reverse ordinal, and Jesus equals 34 in reverse reduction. Again, they both equal 34. 0 has no energetic value. So Gematria footprint of God could be seen in correlation with Jesus. Now, I'm not necessarily making, inference or connection off the bat. If I had a story to tell with these two words and phrases, then I can make something out of it logically, because 34 or 34. Just a quick example. I'm not necessarily trying to make an inference right now, but if I had a storyline that would make sense, I could say, hey, Gematria footprint of God equals 340 in reverse ordinal, which coincides with Jesus in this situation, which equals 34 in reverse reduction. So, yeah, role of 0. Where to find connections, the fun part, where to find connections. So we're going to go through this list. I have videos from my past uploads I've done on YouTube, and we're going to go through each one. So the first one is nouns. There's not a video for nouns because it's just person, place, or things. I've given you matches already on those. But let's go into dates. So the first video for dates.
Tiger Woods was in a rollover car crash on the 54th day of the year, February 23rd, 2021. Going back to the date, funny enough with the number 54, Tiger Woods equals 54 in reduction and reverse reduction. 2021 Masters Week begins on April 5th, or 5-4. The mirror of 54 is 45. Rollover, as in rollover crash, equals 45 in reduction and 45 in reverse reduction. Tiger Woods was 45 years old during the time of the accident, which mirrors Tiger Woods' gematria of 54 in the same exact ciphers.
Okay, I use Tiger Woods for dates, and this is really recent, so hopefully you can understand where to try to find how things match up along those lines. So let's now get into sports statistics.
If you go back and look at the box score, you'll see that Russell Wilson's 21st pass of the game, which was intercepted by number 21 of the Patriots, on the down 2nd and 1 on the date February 1st, or 2/1.
Okay, a quick sports statistics connection with Russell Wilson, the Super Bowl, on that that pick on the 2-yard line, or the 2 or 1 yard line. So that's another connection for sports statistics. And one of my favorites, I love using sentences, phrases, and statements. That's one of my favorite to use. So this one I used.
The famous announcer quote, "Our test is in the stands," equals 91 in septenary, which was Ron Artest's jersey number.
Our test is in the stands.
Ron Artest, our test is in the stands. 91 in the septenary cipher, which we'll go into in a different module. That's more of a next level advanced cipher. But when I found that, I was so cool. I was like, wow, like even down to like the broadcaster saying this statement, equals 91. So that was pretty cool when I found that. Now let's get into creative works of arts, movies, paintings, music.
Keep note of these important numbers of 74, 47, 34, and 43 because they are scattered throughout the whole movie. The movie name, He Got Game, equals 45 in reduction, while the Holy Ghost equals 45 in reverse reduction.
So I used the movie He Got Game. I did a video on that, including with Kobe, Ray Allen. It's a really good video. You should check that out. Now let's get into reading material, which could be literature, books, religious scriptures.
Let's now take a look at Durant's Nephilim tweet. He signed with the Nets on July 7th, 2019, and tweeted Nephilim out on August 28th, which was a 7-week and 3-day span, which could be looked at as 73. 73 is important because in the first book of Enoch, the Ethiopic edition, the first mention of giants comes in chapter 7, stanza 3. It reads, "And the women became pregnant, and they bare large giants, whose height was 3,000 cubits, or ells."
Well, I used for this one the Kevin Durant Nephilim video with the Book of Enoch, which when I found that was pretty astounding as well, how synced up that was. And again, these are places you can find connections in books and everything. Now, let's get into measurements.
We can take a grid. If it's 4 across and 3 up, this line equals 5 always. It has to be like this. This is a beautiful pattern, 4 and 3 and 5. And this rectangle, which is 4 by 3, you've seen a lot of times. This is your average computer screen. 800 by 600 or 1600 by 1200 is the television or a computer screen.
Okay, this is major information. This should start to make sense why people have been saying the TV or computer screen is a mind-controlled device. The mathematics back it up. Let's take a look at the gematria. Perceive equals 43 in reverse reduction. Program and subconscious equals 43 in reduction. The TV calls scheduled shows programming, and the shows can subliminally give the viewer messages that can be picked up by the subconscious mind.
This is an important one, as you see when it comes to our screens, TV screens, our technology. Everything is so exact and so purposeful. So this is where you can find connections with gematria measurements as well. But also organically in nature.
We use 137.5 degrees. We get this beautiful pattern. It's astonishing. And it is exactly the kind of pattern used by that most majestic of flowers, the sunflower. Now, 137.5 degrees might seem pretty random, but it actually emerges out of a special number that we call the golden ratio. And the golden ratio is a mathematical reality that, like fractals, you can find everywhere, from the phalanges of your fingers to the pillars of the Parthenon.
And this is the beautiful thing about alphanumerics. There's a natural side of things. We live in a big simulation. God created this simulation, and everything's so precise and exact. And you can see it, in a sunflower, your body, animals, everything's a system, and everything's just a bigger or smaller version of itself, of everything in the world. So that was pretty cool. And then the last one, which goes back to 55, is just symbolism in general in different ways. And it just explains the importance of this knowledge, okay? And it's another movie, so just watch. It's really good.
But why does this all matter? Well, if we can understand the workings of our matrix, we can raise our awareness, thus raising consciousness to escape it. Let's watch this scene from this Will Smith movie called Focus, which wraps up everything we talked about today and how the architects construct our world.
How did you know who he was going to pick?
I told him to. I'm telling him all day. From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long, on the elevator, even the stick pin on the doormat. Timers are everywhere. Now, he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. Suggestions are everywhere.
That is genius.
And it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for 5 is woo. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. Sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
You can't tell me that's 100% real.
It's probabilistic. Farhad has it at about 59%, but it's better than Vegas.
Okay, so those were where I like to find connections. There may be other places where you can go, but nouns, dates, sports statistics, phrases, statements, sentences, creative works of art, reading material, measurements, nature, and just symbolism around in history and the world and stuff. These are where I like to find connections for my videos and when I try to decode things. Let me know in the comment section if you have other places where you can find connections, but these are the ones I have seen so far for myself in my videos. And so, how do we interpret decodings? Like I said, at the end of the day, there's no real right way to interpret a gematria decode outside of logical sense. Everyone has different perceptions. So I do want to bring up interpretation right now. I'm working in the stock market doing gematria decodes. After the gematria situation, I slipped up into another stock that could be huge long term. LTNC, Labor Smart Inc., Next Level Water. It's a penny stock right now, but I got in, at one point under at 2 cents, and there's a lot of connections with the stock, and this is how I would interpret things. So at the end of the day, we're in a stock market with inflation. We want prices to go up. We love short squeezes. We love making money, and so off the bat, and we know with the CVO and this 56 has been playing a huge role in society these days. So again, these are some connections with 56 and the stock. Hydro Water, it's a hydrogen water company, 56. Healthy Water, it's a healthy water, 56. Stan Trading Man, he's a important figure with the stock. He's kind of a pumper of the stock. He equals 56. Before Easter equals 56. At the time of this video, I'm recording with the stock. They were going to ship out product to the investors and people who want to buy before Easter, and they cashed in on that. They were up and running before Easter, which is on that Sunday. And again, CV illness equals 56. Dave Portnoy, who owns Barstool Sports, he's going to be getting into the stock soon. He equals 56. LTNC hits a dime equals 56. Is almost at a 10 cents at the recording of this video. Barstool Sports equals 56 in reduction cipher. So these are all 56 in the same pure reduction cipher, which is huge. So I'm interpreting, okay, there's something there. Like there's some energetic purpose for this. And then when we get into the reverse reduction, LTNC family, it's a big phrase we're using with the stock right now. And short squeeze equals 56. So in April, and we're getting into the month of April, equals 56. So when I look at this holistically, I am interpreting as an investor in this stock, LTNC Labor Smart, I am saying this healthy water, this healthy hydro water that is being pumped by Stan the Trading Man, that is being shipped out to consumers before Easter in the age of the CV illness, is going to attract investors like Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports. Once the stock LTNC hits a dime, with the help of the LTNC family, that's going to short squeeze up in April. And these are all 56s. And that's how I would interpret this decoding myself. You might see it a different way, and that's okay. Let me know in the comment section below if you see it different. But that's the basics of Module 1, Gematria Decoding today. I hope you guys learned a good amount today. If you already knew about this knowledge, it's good to have a refresh, or maybe I gave you a different perspective on something you already thought you knew. If you're completely new, watch all the rest of my videos on my channel, because you'll start to pick it up super quickly, and then you'll just be able to see how the matrix really works at the end of the day once you start getting comfortable. But again, I just want to reiterate this quote before we end today. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. I'm trying to help you guys fish for a lifetime so you can help, feed your families, help your community, and, awaken people. And that's why I do this. So hopefully you guys love this video. Let me know if you want me to do a module 2 where we get even deeper in advanced gematria decodes and more ciphers. Let me know your thoughts. I love doing this. I love helping you guys out. Art Turner, Dreams Are Tangible Aspirations, D.A.T.A Productions Media. I'll see you guys soon. What's up, everybody? Art Turner, D.A.T.A Productions Media, where we scheme our dreams into existence. I have another module for you guys today for the Gematria Decoding Masterclass. We're going to be going over master numbers, Marty Leeds, and more. So if you haven't watched the first module on the basics, please go back and watch that one first before getting into this module. We're building on top of the things we've been learning with this Gematria Decoding Masterclass. I mean, even though this is module 2, we're still going over a lot of the basics. There's no reason to rush and get into the more advanced level things if we don't have a good base and a good, foundation for us to work off of. All right, so let's get into the masterclass. And I just want to start off with a quote. I'm going to try to start off with a quote every module just to, get our brain moving and understand why we are doing this. So this is a quote from Darcy Wentworth Thompson, and he says, "The harmony of the world is made manifest in form and number. In the heart and soul of all the poetry of natural philosophy are embodied in the concept of mathematical beauty, which coincides with gematria and numerology, which we like to work with." All right, encoding letters and numbers into words and everything. So that's the quote we're going to be going off of today in Module 2, Master Numbers, Marty, Leeds, and more. Let's get into the disclaimers. I'm not going to go over everything with the disclaimers and things this go around. If you want more of an explanation, go to Module 1. I just want to say, look, while this is a masterclass, I am by no means a master. I've been decoding under a year up to this point, but I've been feverishly studying and learning from other talented gematria decoders. Here's the list of talented decoders I've already went through in the past, but I did add one to the mix. It was Marty Leeds. I want to give a shout out to True Gematria on the my first module. Thank you for letting me know who Marty Leeds is. He uses natural, organic math magic. And, he's really good. He uses the Bible. He mostly uses the septenary cipher, but I love his work so far. He goes into anatomy, astrology, everything. He's kind of opened my eyes to another subsection of gematria, numerology, and math magic in general. So thank you, True Gematria, for pointing him out to me. And he's added to the list now. So if you want me to go over the list again, just pause the video and you can look over if you don't know any of these names. I do give explanations on the past decoders I've talked about in Module 1. Here is Data Production's pre-decoding pillars. To keep it short, everyone perceives the creator's code differently. Do not judge or criticize someone's decoding method. If you feel as though somebody can improve on their decodings with more concise readings, be a teacher. Okay, we're all on the same team. Trying to figure out this matrix in the creator's message. Awareness is the goal, and it's not who is better at finding the messages. Number 2, do not fit a square peg in a round hole. While decoding, use common sense. Be logical. When you're trying to teach others this knowledge, it has to make sense for them. So we have to go bare bones, basics, and don't get too advanced, okay? There's a time and a place for that when you're talking within the community, but when you're talking to somebody who doesn't have experience with this stuff, keep it basic, keep it simple. And we live in a world of polarity, of positive and negative charges. So remember, these numbers can be used in a positive manner, in a negative manner. Okay, it's not just negative, it's not just positive. We will live in a world of polarity. So remember that while going forward and finding numbers, okay? If you still have a little bit of trouble what gematria is and you haven't watched Module 1, watch this tutorial video. It gives a little bit more background and a little bit more of the history of gematria. You'll see this in a lot of my videos I put in because I put those in there just in case somebody new to the topic. I give them a little bit of a background so they can go and do more research themselves. So I'm just going to play the video here. If you've already seen it, just go to the next timestamp and we'll get started with the master numbers.
Gematria is a numerological system by which Hebrew letters correspond to numbers, but we will be utilizing the English alphabet for our decoding today. So, in simple terms, ABC equals 1, 2, 3. This system, developed by practitioners of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, derived from Greek influence, and became a tool for interpreting biblical texts. One can then calculate the numerical value of a word by adding together the values of each letter in it. In the realm of biblical interpretation, commentators based an argument on numerological equivalence of words. If a word's numerical value equals that of another word, a commentator might draw a connection between these two words and the verses in which they appear and use this to prove a larger conceptual conclusion. Gematria is essential to Kabbalah. The Jewish mystical tradition. The very basis of the Kabbalistic cosmological system rests on the beliefs that God created the universe through letters, numbers, and words. Indeed, the many names of God and their permutations in Kabbalah have numerical values that are believed to contain potent power. And for numerology, it is a study of numbers in your life. You can uncover information about the world and also each individual person by using numerology. Numerology is seen as a universal language of numbers. So when you add gematria and numerology together, you have a powerful combination of occult knowledge to work with while breaking down games. There are many different ciphers one can use, but the top 4 we will be using are the English ordinal, ABC equals 1, 2, 3, its reverse, where Z equals 1 and A equals 26. Then we have the pure English reduction ciphers, or otherwise called the Pythagorean cipher, which is A equals 1 all the way to I equals 9. Then it resets at J equaling 1, K equals 2, and so on, and then it's reverse. So how I can make these calculations really quick and really easy is going to gematrianator.com. It has all the different ciphers you can use. It starts with the top 4 ciphers that we primarily will use on this page, but it can get even deeper with that with other ciphers. So go check this out once you want to do your own research. Thank you to Derek, the creator of the GEMATRIANATOR website. Go check out his YouTube channel, GEMATRIANATOR85. Or you can have the Gematria calculator on the app. That's from Zachary K. Hubbard. That will help you with your research as well. Shout out to Zachary K. Hubbard for waking me up to the scripting not only in sports, but in regular day society. Check out his YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. This may be confusing at first, but this is a systematic code that was created thousands of years ago. And to put it bluntly, religion is a major part of our world. The elite ruling class have been using sport since the Roman times to cast spells and captivate the population.
Okay, we're on to the master numbers now. These are very important numbers when it comes to, math magic in general. And so I'm excited to talk about these. And the 3 we're going to talk about are 11, 22, and 33. But obviously we're going to start off with 11. So the master number 11. The 11 is the most intuitive of all numbers. It represents illumination, a channel to the subconscious, insight without rational thought, and sensitivity, nervous energy, shyness, and practicality. It's a dreamer. So it goes into a little bit of a personality of a master number 11 as well. It's also enhanced and charged with charisma, leadership, and inspiration. It is a number with inborn duality, which creates dynamism, inner conflict, and other catalysts with its mere presence. A number that, when not focused on a goal beyond itself, can be turned inward to create fear and phobias. So that's a little bit about the master number 11. Please start doing your own research. If you have 11 in your name in gematria or in numerology, do research on that because you can start figuring out things about yourself as well. Master number 22, known as the master builder number. The 22 is the most powerful number. It symbolizes precision and balance, and as a result can lead to great success. A 22 will often have to experience life's difficulties before they can learn to keep a level head when the pressure mounts. It is important that a 22 does not waste its potential. It has the ability to make dreams a reality, but to do so, it must remain strong even in the face of adversity. A 22 must stay positive and focused and strive to build on something for the greater good. So again, personality part of the number 22, and at the top bullet point, it's known as the most powerful number. All right, it symbolizes precision and balance. And when you have those two, great success comes. Master number 33. 33 is just encoded in my life. And as I keep doing this research, I'm starting to find just more, connections to the number. And it's starting to make sense for what road I'm going down and hopefully I become successful in. The 33 is the most influential of all the numbers. It is the master teacher. The 33 combines the 11 and the 22 and brings their potential to another level. When expressed to the fullest, the 33 lacks all personal ambition and instead focuses its considerable abilities towards the spiritual uplifting of mankind. What makes the 33 especially impressive is the high level of sincere devotion. It is shown in its determination to seek understanding and wisdom before preaching to others. The 33 in full force is extremely rare. This number resonates with me totally. And, at the bottom it says 33 tries to seek understanding and wisdom before preaching to others. Hopefully you guys don't think I'm preaching to you. I'm just making videos off things I'm learning, and I'm trying to share it with you guys, just to help out the conscious collective. So, like I said before, I am by no means a master, but I am going to be a student and be a teacher where I can, as I hope you guys can be a teacher to me and vice versa, a student. So the 33 is a big number in my life. I do have sincere devotion to help humanity with this knowledge, and it's just becoming more apparent. And so it's a very important number. And the Trinity of Enlightenment. So this is where gematria comes into play. You can start seeing the correlations with the master numbers to certain words. These master numbers obviously are 11, 22, and 33. It represents the Trinity. Master number 11 is vision. All right, you see Jesus. He's 11. Wasn't Jesus the vision? Back in the day, didn't he hold the vision for people for a better life, to have more spirituality, and to figure yourself out? And it's in the purest reduction cipher, which is very important. If you only had one cipher to work off of in your life, in your world, this is the one to work with. And Jesus, lo and behold, equals 11 in reduction. Master number 22 is vision in action. The master builder. All right, look, he has the vision, and he puts it into action to manifest it. And that's why you see master equals 22 in reduction. When you become a master of something, you have that vision and you brought it to life. You manifested it. So no coincidence that master equals 22 in the reduction cipher. And then finally, the master number 33 is world guidance. The master teacher number. Whether you think it's positive or negative or not, Masonry equals 33 in the full reduction cipher. Masonry does have a bad rep, and for a lot of reasons, because of the Freemasons, being part of the world controllers of our matrix, but they do equal 33 in reduction. And if they are part of the world controllers, they do offer world guidance, whether it's positive or negative. So no coincidence that Masonry equals 33 in the purest reduction cipher. So this is the Trinity of Enlightenment. 11, 22, 33. 11 is vision, 22 is vision in action, and 33 is world guidance, and is backed up with gematria. So hopefully that gives you something to wrap your head around. And please do more research for yourself and let me know in the comment section of what you find. But staying on the number 33 in Marty Leeds, I'm going to show you a video of what he did on the vertebrae in the human anatomy. Again, I like Marty Leeds' work. I just found him recently, but he's been tremendously valuable. And that quote I got from earlier was from a book called A Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, The Mathematical Archetypes of Nature, Art, and Science. Now, I was watching one of his videos on YouTube, and he suggested this book. Funny enough, I've already bought this book on my list of things to read, but when he said that, I immediately started reading it the next day. And that that Darcy Wentworth Thompson quote, I got that from that book. So I think it just coincides what we're doing on these modules. Let's get into this video, and then we'll get into some more stuff afterwards.
Where do we get the number 33? On our backs. 33 is on our backs. It's the number of bones in the spinal column. We do simple arithmetic, not numerology. This is not, You're not giving me your birth date, and I'm finding your life path number, and then I'm gonna go to my tarot deck and then give you some interpretation of what I think is gonna happen to you, and grab my crystal ball and give you some prophecy, and then charge you $98 for that. Okay, that's not what we're doing here. We're adding 1 to 33 and then looking at the divisors. 1 through 33, you look at the divisors, it's 864, which means what? You have light. 864. That's right here. Okay. 33 bones in your spinal column, with the spinal column clearly being representative, once again, if you study symbolism, of health, medicine, and spirituality. There's just no question. Spinal column equals 33. So, crafted into the design of the temple of you is the light of God onto your back, right? 1 through 33, 561, you add those divisors, it's 864. That points to Christ. So, why I call this lecture God's Got Your Back? Get it? Who has 33 bones in their spinal column? The Jews? Yes. The Hindus? Yes. The blacks? Yes. The whites? The yellows? The reds? The people in the northern and southern hemispheres? Well, they don't exist, because that doesn't exist. But you get my point. It's eternal, right? Okay. That's it.
Okay, guys, hopefully you liked that Marty Leeds video. Go check out his channel, subscribe, and watch his work. He's a wealth of knowledge. And one thing I noticed is he loves using the septenary cipher. It's the holy cipher 1 through 7, and he uses that mostly. And so I felt like this was a good time to get into the septenary and Chaldean ciphers and the differences between them, but also the similarities. There was a couple other comments in the first module 1 who wanted me to go over the septenary and Chaldean cipher, and it just goes in together. So I have a passage from Zachary K. Hubbard's book, Letters and Numbers, going over the septenary and Chaldean cipher and similarities, and we're just going to dive a little bit deeper after I go over this passage. Now let us transition to the next 2 ciphers, which I will teach at once. They are known as septenary gematria and Chaldean gematria, and have many parallels. As you see, for septenary, A equals 1, G equals 7, and then H equals 6, I equals 5, J equals 4, K equals 3, L equals 2, M equals 1. So it goes up, it goes down, and then M starts at 1, T goes to 7, and then U starts at 6, and Z is 1. So it goes up, then goes down. The Chaldean gematria cipher, it starts with A equals 1, then it gets kind of funky, because the great thing about Chaldean cipher, and which I'm going to show a video on it, it goes off the vibrations of the sound. And so it gets kind of funky, where you'll see F equals 8, G equals 3, H equals 5, I equals 1, J equals 1, and then it gets pretty funky. So pause the video if you want to just look at the cipher a little bit more. And this is what Zach says about these ciphers. What I can tell you about these ciphers is quite frequently a given word will equate to the exact same values in both ciphers, as different as they might appear. I have only been working with these ciphers for less than a year at the time of writing this book, but again and again, the numbers they generate are so pertinent to the topic I'm often researching. For example, in Chapter 2, we learned how 47 was a very special number to Washington, D.C., easily the most relevant number to the city out of all numbers. By no surprise, using both septenary and Chaldean, Washington, D.C. equates to 47. And as you can see, Washington, D.C. equals 47 in septenary and 47 in Chaldean. On a related note, knowing that there are 47 degrees on the Freemason compasses, and the Masonic headquarters, the House of the Temple, is located in D.C., it is important to mention that many former members of Freemasonry who have climbed to the highest ranks have discovered that in the upper echelons, the fraternity is completely satanic and quickly boarded ship. Using both methods, Satanic Temple also equates to 47. In the ordinal cipher, the word beast also equates to 47. So you see from this passage, there are some similarities in these ciphers. So let's get in a little bit deeper with the septenary cipher and see some of the connections with 7, okay? So the septenary cipher. Marty Leeds uses this cipher a lot, like I said previously. It's a holy cipher in the Bible, and it has emphasis on the number 7. Now, if you look, the number G represents God. Obviously, G equals 7 in English ordinal, 7 in reduction, single reduction, full reduction with the K and V with the master numbers, single reduction, K, V, master numbers, English extended, Jewish reduction, Jewish ordinal, and Jewish, and septenary. A lot of 7s for G. So that tells me that, septenary is very important. 7 is very important to life and to God. All right? God created the world in 6 days, resting on 7. Sunday. 6 sides making 1 cube. 6 sides resting on 1 cube, making 1 cube, which is 7. So we see the importance of septenary. Now, to get a little bit more deeper in the Chaldean cipher, I had created a video recently in my Nephilim KD video where I go over it just a little bit more numerology wise. So we're going to watch it here because it's still pertinent now.
And Kevin Durant is a fallen angel equals 88 in septenary and 88 in Chaldean. Chaldean gematria and numerology is important to learn about. Originating in Babylonia, Chaldean numerology is an older system of Pythagorean numerology. While some practitioners consider Chaldean slightly more accurate than Pythagorean, it's less popular because of its fairly high difficult level of calculation. Chaldean numerology is based on sounds and vibrations. Numbers are assigned to the letter vibrations that they suit best rather than in sequential order. The energies represented in the number were believed to correspond to planets and other heavenly bodies, in addition to the energies that create life. Those who practice Chaldean numerology believe that the system carries spiritual and mystical messages. The correspondence in Chaldean isn't systematic, which requires you to memorize the values. Additionally, the Chaldean approach only assigns the value of 1 through 8, reserving 9 as holy. However, if the sun resolves to a 9, it is retained.
Okay, hopefully you liked that video on the Chaldean numerology gematria. Again, it uses vibrational sounds to match the numbers to the word. So it's a little bit different to septenary, but at the same time, if God created sounds to match to words and everything, and septenary is the holy cipher, there would be a lot of connections. So everything's systematic, right? And here's just a couple matches I've found that go along with it. The logos. So the logos is essentially everything. It can be considered the word. So that's why you see the logos equaling 37 in septenary and 37 in Chaldean. The logos is everything. The word equals 33 in septenary and 33 in Chaldean. Going back to 33, the vertebrae, the master number, very important stuff. Spelling equals 31 in septenary and 31 in Chaldean. Wording equals 28 in septenary and 28 in Chaldean. All these words and phrases align together to help make our world, and arguably, they match in the two most holy ciphers, in my opinion. So this is pretty cool, right? Okay, let's get into prime numbers. And prime numbers are very important to your decoding bag, your decoding toolbox as well, because if you understand the prime numbers, it just adds a little bit more of a wrinkle into your storyline, and it just brings everything cohesively together. So primes are the set of all numbers that can only be equally divided by 1 and themselves, with no other even division possible. For example, numbers like 2, 3, 5, and 7, and 11 are all prime numbers. If you are looking for primes, then half of all possible numbers can be taken off the table right away. The evens, along with all multiples of 3, 4, 5, and so on. There are an infinite number of primes, but become less frequent. Here's some of the list of prime numbers. I know it's kind of small, but let's just go in a little bit. You can see the list of prime numbers here, all the way up to 1,000. You can find this online. It's pretty easy to find. But I do like using this website to find prime numbers. So we'll just bring this up now. So this is the prime number generator I like using. Just personally, this is what I like to use. I like its aesthetic. So look, if you put in 137, you get, number 137 is a prime. It's the 33rd prime. You see how I use this in my videos. Let's put another number in to see what we get. Number 125 is not a prime. So this is the number generator I like using. You might have another one you like to use, but this is the one I use, and yeah, it helps when I start decoding things. Importance of prime numbers. There are dozens of important uses for prime numbers. Cicadas time their life cycles by them. Modern screens use them to define color intensities of pixels, and manufacturers use them to get rid of harmonics in their products. However, these uses pale in comparison to the fact that they make up the very basis of modern computational security. They are an unreducible part of the very fabric of the universe. That's why it's very important to use prime numbers when you're decoding things. They are an irreducible part of the very fabric of the universe. That just is what it is. Before finishing up the video, let's now get into the mysticism of prime numbers. Prime numbers have occupied human attention since ancient times and were even associated with the supernatural. Even today, in modern times, there are people trying to provide prime numbers with mystical properties. The well-known astronomer and science author Carl Sagan wrote a book in 1985 called Contact, dealing with extraterrestrials, trying to communicate with humans using prime numbers as signals. The idea that signals based on prime numbers could serve as a basis for communication with extraterrestrial cultures continues to ignite the imagination of many people to this day. So that's the importance, mysticism of prime numbers. So that's why when you see a decoder bring up, oh, this is the 33rd prime, this is the 54th prime, the 56th prime, they're not just trying to put things together all willy-nilly. It's important. These are important because they're irreducible. They can only be divided by themselves in one. That's what makes them very special, right? So keep that in mind. That's module 2 today. A little bit more of a quicker one, I would hope. So I can keep doing more modules in the future. Just going back to what we did, we went over master numbers, the Trinity of Enlightenment with the master numbers. I gave you a little video of Marty Leeds, the number 33 in the human anatomy, got into the septenary and Chaldean ciphers, gave you some insight on those, how G and 7 is very important to gematria and language in general. God created the world in 6 days, resting on 7, a 6-sided cube making, 7, that one cube. Some matches, some very important matches, the logos, the word, spelling, wording, all matching, and then the prime numbers and its importance. So hopefully you got some value out of this video today. And if you have any more things you want me to go over in these upcoming modules, just let me know in the comments section, right? I don't want to put everything just in one video. I want to make this, short, concise, systematic, so I can keep producing these in the future. But I'm just going to end this module again with the quote we started with from Darcy Wentworth Thompson. The harmony of the world is made manifest in form and number. The heart and soul of all poetry of natural philosophy are embodied in the concept of mathematical beauty. And if you need some reading just on the world, I just started it. I'm on chapter 2, A Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, the Mathematical Archetypes of Nature and Science. Voyage to 1 to 10, Michael Schneider. Look up this book. I love it so far. Thank you, Marty Leeds, for actually get to the book. I've had it for a while. That's it. Art Turner, D.A.T.A Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations, where we scheme our dreams into existence. Please like, please comment, please share this if other people need to learn this knowledge. I have a Patreon if you want to support. Sign up to my email list just in case I ever get censored one day so I can get back in touch with you guys. I want to keep doing this, all right? Without further ado, I'm ending it here. I'll see you in Module 3. And, you know, hopefully it's going to be an exciting one when I sit down and do it. You guys have a good one. We're getting to the good part to why this matters. I took all this time because you have to understand the build up to the importance of these ciphers, all right? Stick with me if you really want to learn. If you don't want to learn, you can leave. I don't care. I don't care about the views, whatever. These are for the people who really want to make it. Gematria Decoding Masterclass, Module 3. We're going to go over the Francis Bacon ciphers and the scripting in our reality via entertainment. Make sure you watch this full video because this one is a gem, and as always, it's an absolute banger. What's up, everybody? Art Turner, D.A.T.A Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations, where we scheme our dreams into existence. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be going over the Francis Bacon cipher, and we're going to go over the scripting in a reality via entertainment. That's going to be, you know, scripture, books, movies. We're going through the whole 9, and it all connects to the Francis Bacon cipher. And you know what I like to do? We talk about, you know, the sports, the scripting in sports. So we're going to have that all today. Guys, this is a jammed-packed video. If you really want to learn about this matrix, if you really want to learn what's going on and how you can use this to your advantage and try to figure out the world in a more expansive way, you're going to watch this full video. And look, I'm going to keep it real. This is mostly about the Francis Bacon ciphers, but we don't talk about the Francis Bacon ciphers till slide 22. It's a build-up that you have to understand to grasp why these ciphers are important, why I would use these, to decode things, right? It's a great build-up. You know, there's 33 slides in all, very dense, and you guys, this PowerPoint presentation will be on my Patreon. It's going to be $3.33 for the access, very basic access. I'm going to talk about that later, but you can get that there. But if you just watch this full video, we go over it. But like I said, slide 22 is where we start talking about the ciphers, the Francis Bacon and the Frank Baconists. And this is 33 slides in total. So stick with me if you really want to learn today. I'm very excited about this. What a time to bring this out into the world, right? I love it. So without further ado, let's get into it. I like to start off my masterclass modules with a quote to get the mind frame and the structure needed for the course at hand. So this is a William Shakespeare quote, and we're gonna figure out the correlation to Francis Bacon later. But let's hear the quote. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts. His acts being 7 stages. Now, we have some gematria at the bottom. You see, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts. So, that full phrase right there is 1,370 in English ordinal gematria. You know, we just take that 0 off. It's 137, the 33rd prime, because you have to understand, you know, this is module 3. You should already understand this. 0 is just a value placeholder. So 1,370 could just be seen as 137, which is the 33rd prime. A very magical, a very spiritual number. And we're going to get into why. So, you know, William Shakespeare having this quote means something. And then, so another Gematria decode we have is his act being 7 stages from his play As You Like It, right? So, and that equals 322 in English ordinal gematria. We're going to get into the significance of 322 and how that number it could possibly be manipulated and perverted by people who script our reality and matrix that we live in. So we're going to get in all into that. And obviously, if you're a conspiracy theorist or you don't believe all the mainstream narratives, you already think that William Shakespeare and Francis Bacon were some sort of psyop back in the day for that entertainment, right? So let's keep going further. Masterclass disclaimer. While I am calling this a masterclass, I am by no means a master. I've been decoding for a little over a year, so I'm always learning. It's a teach, learn, teach, relationship here at D.A.T.A Productions Media on this channel. I'm always studying. I'm always learning from others. So let's go through some of the talented decoders I just want to give some love to, right? I like doing that in the modules. I want to give a shout out to Nate, my boy, his new channel, brand new, DDD231. It's a spiritual esoteric teaching channel with Gematria. It's amazing. Check it out. We have Goods Decode. He's been doing lives. He's been grinding. So definitely check him out. He's another stocks Gematria decoder with crypto as well. Same on Twitter. Same on Stock Twits. He's really holding it down. So check Goods Decode out. We have Waters Above Crypto. I have given him love in the past, but I haven't given him love on the module. You know what it is with him. And then we have Gematria 34. It's a French Gematria decoding channel. Amazing. He's growing. So, keep giving him love and subscribe to his channel. So those are the talented decoders I want to shout out today. Check them out. They might resonate more with you than me, So this is D.A.T.A's pre-decoding pillars. All right. So we have to get in our frame of mind before we get into the Francis Bacon presentation, right? Which is the next slide. But let's get the pillars out the way in the mind frame that I'm coming from and where this presentation is coming from. Everyone perceives the creator's code differently. Try not to judge or criticize someone's decoding method. If you feel as though they could improve to get more concise readings, be a teacher. We are all on the same team in trying to figure out our matrix and our creator's message. Awareness is the goal, not who is better at finding messages. But with that being said, do not fit a square peg in a round hole. While decoding, use common sense. Have a systematic reason for the decode you're deciphering. While the decode practice may vary, it must at least make logical sense to others who want to learn from it. Common and logical sense will help others absorb this knowledge better. We're a team, right? And we're trying to get more people on board so they can wake up and, elevate their consciousness to the next level. Okay, and this last one is huge, which I try to teach in my Discord to people who are a little bit younger that need to understand that numbers have positive and negative energy. It flows both ways. We live in a polar world, so not just one number is not bad, it's all about balance. So we can't think of everything when we see a number pop up in the matrix and say, oh, that's a bad number. That's not the case. So this last one's important. We live in a world of polarity. So there's positive and negative charges on everything in this realm, including numbers. Sometimes the number 33, the master teacher number, gets a bad reputation because it's frequently used by Freemasons and the world controllers. But they are using it for nefarious, quote unquote, or bad purposes. But it can be used for good as well, which I tend to do myself with this specific number. A positively charged 33 is good for humanity, right? I try to use it for good intentions, all right? And like I said, I just want to give a shout out to the Discord real quick. If you're not in my Discord, guys, it's free. And if you're in the financial realms, you like stocks, cryptos, please you just go into the link below, join my free Discord. We're learning, and it's not just about finances. We talk about life too. We add gematria in. Man, it's a great community. It's all love here. It's all love. So give us a check out, right? Just hit the link in the description. Now let's get into the meat of the presentation. I'm very excited. Like I said, we don't get into the Francis Bacon and Francis Bacon ciphers until the 22nd slide. So we have some time, but this build up that we're about to have is going to be amazing, and it's all going to make sense when it comes time to decode. Right? But first, we got to have our building blocks, brick by brick. So first, we have to figure out, who is Francis Bacon? Francis Bacon, 1st Viscount St. Alban. He was born January 22nd, 1561. He died April 9th, 1626. He was 65 years old. He was known as Lord Verulam, was an English philosopher, a statesman who served as Attorney General and Lord Chancellor of England. Had alleged connections with the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons, said to have edited the King James Bible, which we're going to get into, and said to be Shakespeare. We're going to get into that as well. Francis Bacon's birth, death, date, numerology. Like I say at the bottom, notice the 22, the 55, and 99. We understand 22 is the builder number, right? Who else has 22 connections? The Jesuits, the ones who kind of built this matrix, right? The builder number. And we're going to get into how Francis Bacon, if he truly was William Shakespeare, he built a lot in the reality of a lot of people's minds. So as you see, he was born on the 22nd day of the year, and January 22nd, 1561 has 99 date numerology. And so when you go to his death, which is important, you see that 55. If you join my Discord, you'll understand 22 in new shoes is 55, because on a digital clock, when you flip 22 down, you get 55. So, and the Jesuits like using 55 a lot. So that's where that connection is there. And he died on the 99th day of the year. So you kind of see that cross connection right here, right? That's why I say notice it. Who is William Shakespeare? William Shakespeare, which is funny, he doesn't have a born date. He has a baptized date, which was my first, I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to it, right? If he was never born. So anyway, he was baptized April 26, 1564, and he died April 23rd, 1616, at the age of 52. He was an English playwright, poet, actor, widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He's like the GOAT. William Shakespeare is the GOAT, right? In the mainstream ethos of history. You have to understand that. He's often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon, or simply the Bard. Top notch. So we understand when somebody in the mainstream matrix, it doesn't matter if it was on the TV or not, or if it's in the 1600s, if he's at the top of the line, you have to okay, maybe he was elevated there, right? So anyway, his works, 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 3 long narrative poems, and a few other verses, some of uncertain authorship. So his discography is a gold mine. It's large. It's translated into every major living language and are performed more often than those other playwrights in the world. They also continue to be studied and interpreted. So, heavily studied work. As we come to see, a lot of coding in his work, as we saw in the quote to start this whole presentation, right? William Shakespeare's baptized death and date numerology. So what really pops out to me is he was baptized on 22 date numerology. That's what I'm working with. So that's what pops out to me right off the bat. But moving on to the question that we really want to figure out, even before we get into the ciphers, was Bacon Shakespeare? So Sir Francis Bacon was a scientist, philosopher, courtier, diplomat, essayist, historian, and successful politician who served as Solicitor General, Attorney General, and Lord Chancellor. Those who subscribe to the theory that Sir Francis Bacon wrote Shakespeare's works refer to themselves as Baconians, while those dubbing who maintain the orthodox view that William Shakespeare of Stratford wrote his own works as Stratfordians. Bacon's reason for publishing under a pseudonym was said to be his need to secure his high office, possibly in order to complete his great instauration project to reform the moral and intellectual culture of the nation. The argument runs that he intended to set up new institutes of experimentation to gather the data to which his inductive method could be applied. He needed high office to gain the requisite influence, and being known as a dramatist, allegedly low-class profession, would have impeded his prospects. Realizing that play acting was used by the ancients as a means of educating men's minds to virtue, wow, that's really good, and being strongly addicted to theater himself, he is claimed to have set out the otherwise unpublished moral philosophical component to his great instauration project in the Shakespearean work. In this way, he could influence the nobility through dramatic performance with his observations on what constitutes good government, his own type of mind control, right? That's what entertainment can do. You know, that's what we see. That's what we talk about on this channel all the time, or in my Discord all the time about different shows, movies. You know, they tell us the truth. You know, they give us the ideas that are happening in the Matrix playing out. Happened, 500 years ago as well with Francis Bacon, William Shakespeare. So now let's get into some of the gematria. So really easy peasy off the bat. We don't have to go farther after this, really. Francis Bacon and William Shakespeare, same. 330 English ordinal. We have that 33. All right. I mean, honestly, what else do we need? But obviously, we do more. Writing the reality in sports, I just want to put that out there because later in the presentation, we're going back to it. But you see it's 137 in the reduction cipher. But moving forward, scripture gives us entertainment. Francis Bacon was William Shakespeare. And then we have As You Like It by William Shakespeare, Francis Bacon, all equal 137. The last one equaling 137 in the Chaldean cipher. And the scripture gives us entertainment, and Francis Bacon as William Shakespeare equals 137 in English reduction. Then we have our 56s. We have the Society of Jesus equaling 56 in the reduction. We've talked about them a lot, how they are, in manipulation of the matrix that we live in, right? Two-faced artist. Well, if Francis Bacon was William Shakespeare, he would be two-faced, right? That equals 56 in reduction. And Bacon was two-faced equals 56. All in the same reduction cipher. That's a really good indication, right? And so now I just have a photo of the two theater masks. A happy and a sad mask, right? Polarity, happy, sad. Red, blue, up, down. So the two-face, right? So going further, we're going to get into the date discrepancies of the two faces of Francis Bacon, William Shakespeare, right? Of the theater of our matrix. So when we get into the date discrepancies, that brings up the gematria. So the first date discrepancy was, Francis Bacon's birthday of January 22nd, 1561, to William Shakespeare baptized date, right? That was 3 years, 3 months, 4 days. So we're going to keep that in mind, 334. But that was also 1,190 days. We have that 11/9, which recently, and this is dropping in November, and we just passed Occult Day. 11/9 or 9/11 is a huge magical ritual number. across all the boards. You know, we talk about how 9/11 was the greatest ritual in the Matrix of all time. Well, that was a magic ritual, right? So you could use 9/11, 11/9 for a lot of different things as well. And so it's not surprising that it's going to pop up here, and we're going to go further. So that's the first date discrepancy, the birth to baptized date of these two. Then we have the death of William Shakespeare to the death of Francis Bacon, because William Shakespeare died first. You know, he died younger. That was 9 years, 11 months, right? Or that was also 119 months. You see, there's two 11 nines or 9/11s there, right? You see that? And so the other one is the birth of Francis Bacon to the death of William Shakespeare, which was 55 days. And that's the key number you need to key in on, that we're going to talk about a little bit later, right? It's the 55 days. So let's get into some of the gematria decodes. So we have some really good ones. Get this: Tricked and Francis, they both equal 70 in English ordinal, 34 in reduction, and 119 in reverse ordinal. You know, that 11/9, 9/11. We also have William equaling 34 in that reduction, along with Francis and Tricked. You see? Going further, we have we're going to talk about the masks, right? We have F Bacon, as in Francis Bacon, F Bacon equaling 41 in English ordinal, and we have sad mask equaling 14 in reduction. 14 is the mirror of 41, right? But they both equal 121 in reverse ordinal, right? So you see that connection. F Bacon, sad mask. Happy mask, right? Happy mask equals 110 in English ordinal, while William Shakespeare equals 110 in reverse reduction. You see that connection. Then we have happy and sad theater mask. That equals 334 in Francis Bacon. That's huge, because look, you see the discrepancy of the first one, right? From the born date of Bacon to the baptized date of William Shakespeare. 3 years, 3 months, 4 days. Happy and sad theater mask. 334 in Francis Bacon. Wow! Just wait to how it all makes sense moving forward. Then and it also has 22 letters. Just like we talked about 22, right? So then we have William Shakespeare was happy mask and Francis Bacon was sad mask, equaling 334 in reverse reduction. Wow. But also 55 letters. So we have that 22 and 55 working with the 334s in the Francis Bacon in the reverse reduction cipher. You see how all that is connecting, right? Is the picture being painted? Is the pieces getting put into the puzzle, right? Let's get into another question that we want answered. Did Bacon edit the King James Version Bible? Well, let's go through some quotes for the next couple slides. The 1611 King James Bible is ornamented with Bacon symbols in my own special copy for the record edition, also dated 1611. These symbols are Rosicrucianally marked to call the attention of the initiated to them and to tell them that the 1611 Bible is without possibility of doubt one of Bacon's books. When Bacon was born, English as a literary language did not exist. But once he died, he had succeeded in making the English language the noblest vehicle of thought ever possessed by mankind. This he accomplished merely by his Bible and his Shakespeare. Edwin D. Lawrence, author of Bacon is Shakespeare and the Shakespeare Myth, from a lecture, October 9th, 1912. So this is a really old quote, over 100 years old. So even back 100 years ago, this was around. Another one. The Bible, which all of us read and admire from a literary point of view because of its peculiar and beautiful English, was written in that formed by Bacon, who invented and perfected that style of English expression. The first editions of this Bible were printed under the same guidance and in the same manner as were the Shakespeare plays. And the ornaments for the various pages were drawn in pen and ink on the wood by artists engaged by Bacon, who worked under his supervision. Every one of the ornaments concealed some Rosicrucian emblem, and occasionally a Masonic emblem or some initials that would reveal Bacon's name or the name of the Rosicrucians. Such ornaments were put not only in the Christian Bible that Bacon had rewritten, but in the Shakespeare plays. They're telling us that everything's encrypted that he writes. And in some of Bacon's own books, and a few other books that were typically Rosicrucian in spirit. Dr. H. Spencer Lewis, Imperator of the Rosicrucian Order during the 1920s to 30s from the Rosicrucian Digest, April 1930. Another oldie but goodie. And one last one from one of the esoteric teaching goats himself. The first edition of the King James Bible, which was edited by Francis Bacon and prepared under Masonic supervision, bears more Mason's marks than the Cathedral of Strasbourg. Manly P. Hall from a lecture, Rosicrucian and Masonic Origins, 1929. All right, so that's what he thinks. That's what Manly P. Hall thinks. And I looked up, how many people wrote the King James Version Bible, and this is what popped up on Britannica, 47 scholars. And we've already talked about how the Rosicrucians were involved, the Masons were involved. So when I put in 47 scholars in the Francis Bacon, cipher, and I get 322, when it goes back to, usually, the Skull and Bone Society, the secret, orders, it always goes back to that number normally. So if it's in this Francis Bacon cipher as well, that's very, very strong in my opinion. So now let's get into some gematria to confirm these thoughts. So, look, Skull and Bones writes reality, 333 English ordinal, 333 Francis Bacon, 666 Francis Baconist, and it has 5,555 in squares. That's just like a little interesting one I wanted to bring up. Give them a show to control them equals 333 in English ordinal, which goes back to Skull and Bones writes reality, right? See? Sir Francis Bacon edited the King James Bible, 506 Francis Bacon, so that's that 56. And then we have primes, which is a little interesting, right? 1,037 in primes, but that's at 137 in the prime cipher. That can't be ignored, right? That cannot be ignored, especially when we went over that quote earlier, right? That cannot be ignored. We have writers of reality and writing the reality equaling 223 in English ordinal and 101 in reverse reduction. 101, that's a portal number. We have to think about that as well. Then we have right to manifest and writing the reality, both equaling 223 in Francis Bacon. Then we have Francis Bacon secretly edited the King James Version Bible, 1,111 in Franc Baconist. And just for a little play on words, 1,111 in Francis Baconist Gematria cipher equals 1,221 in Francis Baconist. And I put that in because you have that 22 in the center of the pillars of 1 and 1. And then you have that 333 in reverse reduction. I know that's not actually a cipher, but it's a play on words, right? Then we have build equals 223 in satanic, but also 333 in reverse reduction, right? Which goes back to this decode right here. We have scripted entertainment gematria and Club 322 Skull and Bones writes reality, both equaling 404 in Francis Bacon. Scripted entertainment gematria, Club 322 Skull and Bones writes reality, both equal 404 in Francis Bacon. I had to repeat it because you have to understand that decode. And look, we go over here, we see the writers equals 55 in reduction. We also have the alphabet equaling 55 in reverse reduction, and Truman Show equaling 55 in reverse reduction. See, the writers, 55, the alphabet, 55, Truman Show, 55. If you haven't seen the Truman Show, the movie, you got to watch it. And then, look, we have the alphabet and Truman Show both equaling 44 in reduction, which can be seen, as 44 over here with Francis Bacon. And then we have, obviously, the Jesuits equaling 22 with that flip to the 55. So that's where I'm coming from, where that's the King James Version Bible derives from. The secret societies. Maybe it was really truly headed by Francis Bacon, but you saw the acclaims and the accomplishments Francis Bacon has. So you have to understand that he was a part of some clubs, right, in the mainstream world, in the Matrix. So this, kind of solidifies that. But they love their magic as well. And with the encoding within the Bible, you have to think that some type of energy came through Francis Bacon and, inspired him to really encode it. Maybe there was a true godly energy that worked through him or helped him in a way. And so we're going to, get into that now. Spiritual help from the god Thoth to write the Bible. Who is Thoth? The god Thoth. Thoth was the god of the moon, sacred texts, the scripture, Bible, mathematics, that can go to Gematria Numerology, the sciences, magic, messenger, and recorder of the deities. So literally, it's everything, entertainment. Like we've talked on this channel, you want to script out old ancient stories of deities for the highest levels of magic. That's what Aleister Crowley said, and that's what we said in our LTNC video, me and Nate, on As You Like It. The master of knowledge, the patron of scribes. His Egyptian name was D.A.T.A, which means he who is like Ibis. He was depicted as an Ibis bird or a baboon. And just some gematria decodes. God equals 26 in English ordinal, 17 in reduction. Thoth equals 71, the mirror of 17 in English ordinal, and 26 in reduction. So you see the importance of Thoth. He's controlling a lot. Sacred texts, mathematics, science, magic, messenger, recorder of deities. That's almost everything, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of important stuff. So let's get into some more of the gematria decodes to confirm Thoth's importance to the Bible, to Francis Bacon, and the spirituality behind it. So all these match. Look, numerology, magic, and literature, numerology, magic, and scripture. Francis Bacon was gifted with Thoth, all equal 330 in English ordinal and 141 in reduction. That's a strong confirmation, guys. Very strong. Look, theatrical art and play on words both equal 55 in reduction, right? We talked about this. What also equals 55? The writers. We talked about the writers. See? That's important. We talked about give them a show them control, 333. And we have another 55 in Frank Baconus. Thoth, the god of magic and numbers, 550, Francis Baconus. We have, and we're going to use the rule where you could, use 1 as a value placeholder. It has no value because it's a parent number. Thoth was the god of the moon, sacred texts, mathematics, the sciences, magic, messenger, and recorder of the deities, master of knowledge, and patron of scribes. That's 515 in Chaldean. We see that 1 as a value placeholder. That's 55. Remember, 1 is as a parent number, so it's technically not a number, just like 2 is technically not a number. Then we have gematria scripture equaling 55 in Chaldean. So you see the connections there. Very important. Thoth, the god of magic and numbers, equals 133 in reduction and 137 in reverse reduction. You see those 33s. Letters and numbers create the world. 133 in reduction goes back to Thoth, the god of magic and numbers. So that's important. In English Numerian, we have 2,202. We have that 222. And we have in Chaldean, that 119, that 11.9, that 9.11. Very important. Letters and numbers create the world. Very strong decodes right there. Francis Bacon wrote the As You Like It script with the powers of Thoth, 303 single reduction. Then we have Francis Bacon used the powers of Thoth to edit the King James Version Bible, 333 in the single reduction. So, look, I mean, and that's just where S equals 10, instead of 1. So that's, just a small little tweak, but it makes such a difference in the decodes. And it's beautiful, right? Francis Bacon used Thoth, 303 in Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon, Thoth, magical, 222 English ordinal, that 222. We have that 440 in Franc Baconist. We've talked about that 44. And we have Thoth was the god of the moon, sacred text, mathematics, the sciences, magic, messenger and recorder of the deities, master of knowledge, patron of scribes. His Egyptian name was D.A.T.A, which means he was like Ibis, equals 4004 in Franc Baconist. So you see that 44 playing out. Then we have theatrical art, play on words, esoteric language, all equaling 188 in Francis Bacon. And then we have the god of the moon, sacred text, mathematics, the sciences, magic, messenger and recorder of the deities, master of knowledge and patron of scribes, 1,888 in reverse ordinal with that extra 8. You see the correlations here. Some more decodes before we get into the actual ciphers and why they're important. So stick with me. Stick with me, guys. We're almost done, but we're getting to the good part to why this matters. I took all this time because you have to understand the build up to the importance of these ciphers, all right? Stick with me if you really want to learn. If you don't want to learn, you can leave. I don't care. I don't care about the views, whatever. These are for the people who really want to make it, all right? So stick with me. We're almost there. Francis Bacon used Thoth's magical powers to edit the KJV Bible, 223 reduction. The spirit of Thoth helped Francis Bacon edit the KJV Bible, 2,230 in satanic. You see, just chop off that 0. Scripture, 155 Francis Bacon. We can use that principle where one just gets, isolated, and that's that 55. Thoth helped Francis edit the KJV Bible, 155 reduction. So you see that, the correlation right there. Thoth and William Shakespeare, 551 Franc Baconist, but it's also 1,555 in English extended. So you see the correlations in the number magic right here. You see it? Francis Bacon was the number magic god, 551 reverse ordinal. Francis Bacon wrote As You Like It with powers of Thoth, 1,155, right? So you have the 11 and 55 in the Franc Baconist. And Francis Bacon was a manifestation of Thoth, the god, 550, Francis Bacon. And Francis Bacon was the Egyptian god Thoth, 505 in Francis Bacon. So you see all those 55s playing out, going back to the writers. Gematria scripture in the Chaldean cipher. All important stuff. All important. A play on words. Theatrical art. Like, all important. Goes back to 55. 55 years between the birth of Francis Bacon and, the death of William Shakespeare. That was 55 years. So that comes full circle on why that's important. And look, we go back to the big ones. Tricked and Francis, 70, 34, 119, 47. But we also have God, Thoth, equaling 43, which is that reverse of 34. But it also has that major 119, that 11, 9, 9, 11. Goes back to the magic, right? So, of those days. So, all very important stuff. So now, you guys, we're at slide 22. It's now time to get into the actual Francis Bacon and Franc Baconist ciphers. But before we get into the Francis Bacon ciphers, I just want you guys to know, look, this is where you can get the PowerPoint. I have all the master classes in here, the Gematria Masterclass General Support. This is only $3.33 a month. this presentation will be in this Patreon tier. But if you love my Gematria stocks and you want to make money off the matrix with Gematria for only $5 a month, you can get that tier. I also have monthly sports documentaries for only $5 a month. I am dropping an absolute banger this month. A banger! Magic vs. Bird, and it's only in Francis Bacon ciphers and Frank Bacon ciphers. That's all I'm using. It's going to be amazing. I already have 5 premium content videos up. I'm building my Netflix. So if you want to be part of the movement, you want to see me grow, you know, that's where you can help support, but you get amazing value. But say, look, hey, you want both my Gematria stocks and my monthly documentaries, my Dream Schemers Ultimate Woke Pack. That is only $8.63 a month. That's a $1.37 discount, the 33rd Prime. This is where you can go to really help my channel. It means a lot to me. Just go into the link in the description below, and you can get started to get this presentation, my stocks, or, you know, my documentaries. However which way you want to do it. But thank you for the support thus far. You know, you guys motivate me to keep going, and you know, we're going to keep going and keep growing. Finally, the moment we've been waiting for, we're finally getting to the Francis Bacon and the Frank Baconist ciphers. Slide 22, I told you, but you guys have to go back. If you went to this timestamp thinking that you're going to understand everything, you played yourself. Go back and watch the full video. It's all going to make sense because we built this up brick by brick on why this cipher is important. It's all about, you know, the entertainment, the theater, the theatrics, and, you know, the manifestation of the numbers and the letters of the world, right? You know, you can write your reality, and you won't understand that if you started right here. So go back. Go back. But if you follow me this full time, let's keep going. I'm excited. So now we have the Francis Bacon cipher in its reverse. Okay? You see, you know, the lowercase letters for the base one is 1 through 26, A through Z, lowercase, and then 27 through 52 is the uppercase. And I just want to throw out there, William Shakespeare died at the age of 52. Hint, hint. You know, you see these ciphers are maxed out at 52, you know, digits, right? Hint, hint. You know, this cipher as well is based on alphanumerical case sets. So all of them go together, right? So the lowercase are all preceding each other. Then the uppercase are all preceding each other. The same thing in the reverse. The lowercase all precede each other, and then the uppercase, you know, precede each other. So it's based on the numerical sets. The uppercase always holds higher numerical value than the lowercase. That's the basis of the Francis Bacon cipher. And we're going to understand more going forward, but this is just the numerical differences of both of them. So now we have the Frank Baconist cipher. Both important, you know, and they both have different twists and flavors that you need to look for when, you know, decoding. So first, you see the uppercase letters first, then the lowercase. They're grouped together. So for the base Frank Baconist, you have uppercase A equaling 1, then lowercase a equaling 2. So it's the pairing of the same uppercase and lowercase number. Similar numerical value. They're similar in numerical value, but the preceding lowercase letter always has a higher value in both the base and its reverse. So lowercase a will always equal more than 1, right? And so same over here. Like lowercase a will always equal more than uppercase a. Lowercase z always equals more than uppercase z, and same thing here. So the preceding lowercase letter always has a higher value. So now let's get into the importance of capital, uppercase, and lowercase letters. So I got this information from the SUNY Empire State College article breaking this down. Capital letters are useful signals for a reader. they have three main purposes: to let the reader know a sentence is beginning, to show important words in a title, to signal proper names and official titles. Capitalize the first work in a line of poetry, even if it doesn't begin a new sentence, unless the poet did not capitalize it. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. So this is just what are uppercase letters, and uppercase letters, and this is from dictionary.com. Uppercase letters are capital letters, the bigger, taller versions of letters, as opposed to the smaller versions, which are called lowercase letters. Uppercase means the same thing as capital. Uppercase letters can also be called capitals. And so I did some gematria decodes. I just took off those parentheses, right? Uppercase letters are capital letters, the bigger, taller versions of letters, as opposed to the smaller versions, which are called lowercase letters. You see 551 in reduction, so it's that 55. Then we have uppercase means the same as capital. Uppercase letters can also be called capitals. Dictionary.com. 333 in the septenary cipher, which is a highly scripture divine cipher as well, just like the Frank-Baconist. I've talked about that in a previous module. I believe that was module 2, if I believe. Go check those out if you haven't, 1 and 2. Moving further on the capital letters, capital, you see the highlighting. Capital letters are useful signals for a reader, the three main purposes. So I broke those down. Capital letters are useful signals for a reader. They have three main purposes: to let the reader know a sentence is beginning, to show important words in a title, and to do signal proper names and official titles. Then I put SUNY, S-U-N-Y, equals 2,222 in Frank-Baconist. Very strong, right? Very strong. Then, I did the same thing, but I put SUNY Empire State College. Then I get that 888 in the reduction. Then I have Francis Bacon was a manifestation of the of Thoth, the god. 888 in Frank-Baconist. So you see those 3 8s popping up. Very important. And that even equals 8 when you add those together. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8, right? And then you have capital letters equals 187 in Francis Bacon, and esoteric equaling 187 in Frank-Baconist. So you understand why, capital and lowercase are important, but let's keep going further on why, what are lowercase letters and why they are important. They're the shorter versions of letters. And so, look, lowercase letters are the shorter, smaller versions of letters, as opposed to the bigger, taller versions, which are called uppercase letters or capital letters. Dictionary.com, 555 in Chaldean, that 222 flip down, we understand, right? Lowercase letters are shorter and smaller versions of letters, as opposed to the bigger, taller, taller versions, which are called uppercase capital letters. So the same sentence, but the only difference is dictionary.com. Then you have that 2,230, which is that 223, which is the verse of 322. And then I just take that last little definition they have right here, right? The two versions of the letter take different forms altogether, such as lowercase a and uppercase a, or lowercase b and uppercase b. Dictionary.com. That's 1,881. You have that 88 sandwiched in between the pillars of 1 and 1. Reverse ordinal. Very important. So moving on, we talked about the poetry a little bit more, so it's getting more back into the Francis Bacon and why it's important, right? Capitalize the first work in a line of poetry, even if it doesn't begin a new sentence, unless the poet did not capitalize it, right? So I kept that, even if the poet doesn't capitalize, begin a new sentence. Sunni Empire, 444 Chaldean. Then we have biblical scriptures can produce magic and reality, 444 English ordinal, 444 Francis Bacon, and we have that 888 in Frank-Baconist. You see the biblical scriptures, the King James Bible, writing, producing magic and reality, manifestation, creating the world. You see how it's all coming together. Magic and reality, capital and lowercase, both equaling 74 in reduction. Then you have capital and lowercase, create the world we live in, 1,337 in reverse wrong baconist. So you can see that as like a 133.7, like a grander 137, how I see it, right? Then you have usage of capital and lowercase letters in words, 1,307, a 137, the 33rd prime. So the question we need to ask for the answer we've all been waiting for, why use the Francis Bacon and the Frank Baconist ciphers? These ciphers can be used to decode scripture, Bible and other sacred texts, theater, poetry, or any form of entertainment involving a storyline, which includes sports. These ciphers can encode magical acts that can manifest into a reality when paired with a powerful deity or deities. Refer back to Thoth, recorder of the deities. And so we have a confirming Gematria decode. Francis Bacon Gematria cipher is effective for decoding scripture, 333 reverse reduction. A strong confirmation decode, right? So we have some more confirmation decodes. Francis Bacon in Frank Baconist, 333 in Francis Bacon. String pulls, we have 333 in Frank Baconist. We have Francis Bacon cipher is normally used for decoding biblical scriptures, which equals 333 in single reduction, also in single reduction KV, 3,330 in English extended, and 222 in septenary. That's a lot of strong decodes for that one. Another one, give them a show to control, 333 in reverse Francis Bacon. Then we have decoding literature, 322 reverse Francis Bacon. Then we have the King James Version Bible is coded in Francis Bacon Gematria. Wow, 322 in reverse reduction. 322. Numerology in script is good. 322 English ordinal. 322. Numerology in script is good. Wow. Then we have 133 reduction, 133, in the KV and in the Jewish. So you see those 33s popping up. Francis Bacon in Frank Baconist cipher is great for decoding scripts, 303 in Jewish reduction. Then we have numerology in Gematria in script is good for entertainment. That's 1,222 in Frank Baconist. And we also have the King James Version Bible is coded in Francis Bacon Gematria, 1,022 in the Frank Baconist. So you see the 22s popping up. Francis Bacon cipher, 322 in reverse ordinal. So it goes back to 322. And we have in squares, which is just a little interesting, 2,202. That 222. The cipher that decodes in Francis Bacon, 222. Another confirmation. And then show society your magic to control them. We have 440 in reverse ordinal, that 44, the alphabet, Truman Show. And we have 133 in Chaldean and that 2022 in the Fibonacci. So all very interesting and important decodes to why, the Francis Bacon Gematria ciphers are very important. Now we have a sports example, what I'm working on for my documentary and things like that. So I just wanted to bring up one sports example that changed the game for the NBA forever. And when you watch my documentary that's dropping on Patreon at the end of the month, it will make complete sense. And it's the Magic versus Bird rivalry. Lakers versus Celtics. It's all about the polarity, the pillars, and so it goes all the way back to the King James Version Bible. I know I'm cheating a little bit with this, but I'm going to use the new King James Version Bible in their version of Jachin and Boaz, because that's what Magic and Bird were. They were the pillars, Jachin and Boaz. And, they played out a script of them going back and forth. And so I'm going to read this off. Then he set up the pillars by the vestibule of the temple. He set up the pillar on the right and called its name Jachin. And he set up the pillar on the left and called its name Boaz. So again, this is 1 Kings 7:21. That's the verse there. We understand stories equals 33 reduction. 1 Kings 7:21 equals 33 in septenary, just like a play on words equaling 33 in septenary. And you'll understand when you get more of the magic and bird stuff. They both were 6'9", 220. And we've talked about the importance of 1,111 in Francis Baconus. So they both equally 7 to 9 in reduction. But now let's decode that little passage, right? Then he set up the pillars by the best suitable of the temple, and he set up the pillars on the right and called its name Jachin, and set up the pillar on the left, called its name Boaz. Magic versus bird equals 3,333 in Franc Baconus. How strong does it need to be for you to understand? So these ciphers are important to the NBA script at least, but I think on a grander scale to entertainment as a whole, you know, books, poetry, all of it, any type of entertainment that you could call it. And, you know, some more, I'm not going to give you all the gems because you have to wait for the documentary, but look a little bit more. Sports became religiously scripted in the 70s, and the cipher that decodes professional sports. Look at these connections. 556 English ordinal for both of them. 1,111 Franc Baconus for both of them. 659 in reverse ordinal for both of them. 1,317 in reverse Franc Baconus for both of them. The sports became religiously scripted in the 70s. The cipher that decodes professional sports scripts. Wow. That's powerful. And then we have magical literature captivates readers, 1,111 in reverse Franc Baconus. So now I gave you guys a little sneak peek in my last video I did, but now I'm going to give you a little bit more of a sneak peek of the same scene, but it's even upgraded with more effects and stuff. So, and with a couple of gematria decodes as well. So I hope you guys like this sneak peek. Again, it's going to be dropping at the end of the month, so make sure you join the Patreon to see the full thing. So watch this.
There'll be some important decisions made tonight before this sellout crowd of 15,000.
We are getting set here for what promises to be one tremendous championship game for the National Intercollegiate Basketball title. I don't know what more you could ask. You know, we started this season, 6 months ago? If you'd have tabbed it right then on two of the storybook stories.
The like in secrecy, contained within the most precious of things. One light, one dark, reflections of the self, broken now, except within one's consciousness. The arcane task, to build them up once more, within the confines of the human soul, to stride inside the portal of the ancients, and grasp eternity and its creations. Mother Goddess, mistress of the dream realm, beckon me forth to walk between your legs, but do not crush me as I make my final journey back inside the womb of infinity. Please, great architect of the universe, bestow on me your compass made of gold. Hold me steady as I draw my own circle of life and death and rebirth of my soul.
It all began here in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the night of March 26, 1979. It was the NCAA championship, Indiana State versus Michigan State, a game that still ranks as the highest-rated college final ever on television. A game that's now remembered as a prologue to a rivalry that transformed a sport and intertwined two legacies. But on that night, March 26, 1979, the first time Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ever went head-to-head on a basketball court, they were simply two young men trying to win a very big ball game.
Hopefully you guys love that little upgraded scene I gave you. I'm really excited to drop this documentary. So, you know, stay tuned for that, for the drop. So just a couple more Gematria decodes, and we're going to be going on our way. I know this is a long one, but thank you for staying with me, because this is important that people learn this, and this is out there. So we see sports scripting equals 222 English ordinal. Entertainment industry manifested biblical scriptures, 222 in reduction. Just like NBA script is written with Francis Bacon and Frank Baconist, 222 in English reduction. So look, you see those 222s in sports scripting and all that. It's too obvious, right? But also, look, we have 582 and 528, just that little difference there. And we also have that 309 for both of them, and that 93 in the mirror. So guys, like, how much more do you guys need to understand what's going on here, right? And you can use this to your advantage. Good writing equals 69 in reduction. Remember, Larry and Magic were both 6 foot 9 inches. Okay? Numerology in Gematria in script equals 690 in Francis Baconist. And Francis Bacon, Thoth, magical script, 609 in Francis Baconist. But 69, right? Francis Bacon Gematria Cipher unlocks biblical scriptures, 609 in Francis Bacon. And Francis Bacon and Frank Baconist ciphers are for decoding scripture, 690, 69. Magic and reality, visual arts and sports, capital and lowercase, all equaling 74 in the reduction cipher. We have stories in 6 cubed equaling 33 in reduction, so 6 cubed, 666. We have John D, a wizard. I'm going to talk about him in another video along there, but he's the OG wizard in 6 cubed, both equaling 113 in Francis Bacon, which goes right to, lo and behold, the National Basketball Association equaling 113 in reduction. That goes with Scripture, Gematria Decode, 113 in reduction. And, just a little one, spectators don't reap the rewards. Usually it's more of a distraction than anything, 113 in Chaldean. Illusions equals 113 in reverse ordinal, which goes back to John D and 113 Francis Baconist. He's the OG wizard. Then we have decoding literature with Francis Bacon cipher, 666 reverse ordinal. Decoding scripture using Gematria, 666 Frank Baconist. And acting out a show, 666 in satanic. That's why we have that 6 cubed in that 33 and 113. You see that. Finally, you guys made it to the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, chugging through with me. I love doing this, right? So I just want to end it off with a quote, with the other side of the mask, right? We have the William Shakespeare quote to start off, and we have to have the Sir Francis Bacon quote to end it. God has, in fact, written 2 books, not just one. Of course, we are all familiar with the first book he wrote, namely Scripture, but he has written a second book called Creation. And so I broke these down because they're as powerful as well. You see, the only differences for this quote I add at the end, Sir Francis Bacon and William Shakespeare, because they both wrote it. Obviously, it's the same person. 888 single reduction. Then I did 2 books, Scripture and Creation, 1,333 in Satanic. Scripture and Creation, 222 in Jewish Ordinal. And so the last one is just that in Frank Baconist, 3,310 in Frank Baconist. But which is interesting with this one, it's 33 words. So, guys, this was an amazing presentation. Hopefully you guys learned a lot. I know it was a long one, and if you got through it, man, you're a trooper, and you learned so much, and I love you for it. But there's so much even to go further in this presentation that I will never get to. So, you know where to get this information. Rewatch this video if you have to. Get my Patreon for the PowerPoint if you have to. Do whatever you need to learn this information. I'm trying to get it out there because I love you all. So, with that being said, Art Turner, D.A.T.A. Productions Media, dreams are tangible, aspirations will rescheme our dreams into existence. I love you all. Happy learning, and I'll see you in the next video. Today, we're going to be talking about the geometry of Gematria. This is a jam-packed and dense module, but after we go through this, This should really elevate your decoding prowess as it did mine as I was researching. There was so much more that came together as I finished this up, and hopefully this, goes on to you. And I just have some really cool gematria decodes before we get into the real presentation, because maybe one day I can make this into a mathematics thesis paper and try to get a Fields Award or something like that. Because I really feel like you can extrapolate on this knowledge even more, and this really could go into the mainstream because it's math. And so I just have some really quick, cool gematria decodes, right? Gematria, much like worded geometry, mathematics thesis paper will win a lot of awards. 333 English reduction. Then we have gematria, much like worded geometry, mathematics thesis paper, D. Arthur Turner IB, 330 English reduction. So those are two decodes that I have for myself, and hopefully that's forward looking to where this knowledge can go. All right, so keep that in mind. Maybe there's a mathematics thesis paper in the future for me. Before getting into the meat of the masterclass, I just want to go over some of the disclaimers and the notices. While I am calling this a masterclass, I am by no means a master. I've been decoding with gematria for over 3 years, and I realize the more I learn and more I find out, the more I don't know. And so that's exciting because that keeps me in the student role. But as I continue to learn, I will continue to cast out the knowledge I find out so it can help other people. And with that being said, I also learned from a lot of other decoders within the gematria community as well. So I want to give a shout out to some of the decoders that I follow and that I want to give some shouts out to. Some of the talented decoders I want to give a shout out to: Decode or Chromara. He works with numerology, cultural esoterica. His YouTube channel is Decode 28. So go on YouTube and support him. Subscribe to his channel. We did an interview not too long ago, and it was great. It was long, it was dense, it was jam-packed with a lot of information, with a lot of different perspective. He's a really good dude, and he would really love that support. Another one is Duke Doobie. He's an esoteric cryptocurrency technical analysis trader. He's on Rumble. So if you have a Rumble account, go to Rumble and type in Duke Doobie, or go to his Twitter where his ad is Scrub Anon. So really good dude as well. He's in my Discord as well. He's easily to get talked to, and he does great work. His work on Bitcoin, just masterful, right? Masterful. And then we also have Honest Abe 3, Abraham on Discord as well. He's an esoteric technical analysis trader. Really good dude as well. And he's also on Rumble. Honest Abe with the 3 instead of the E. So those are the 3 talented decoders I want to give a shout out to today. They do awesome work. They're in my community on the Discord, and they provide a lot of value. So, thank you to them. And hopefully they continue to cast out some positive energy because the space still needs it. When diving into esoterica like gematria, it's important, in my opinion, to have some pre-decoding pillars to almost live by to gain some perspective. All right, so I don't want to go over these before we get into the real meat. Everyone perceives the creator's code differently. Try not to judge or criticize someone's decoding method. If you feel as though they can improve to get more concise readings, be a teacher. We are all on the same team in trying to figure out our matrix and our creator's message. Awareness is the goal, not who is better at finding messages. Do not fit a square peg into a round hole. While decoding, use common sense. Have a systematic reason for the decode you are deciphering. While the decode practices vary, it at least must make logical sense to others who want to learn from it. Common and logical sense will help others absorb this knowledge better. Very important. We live in a world of polarity, so there are positive and negative charges on everything in this realm, including numbers. Sometimes the number 33, the master teacher number, gets a bad reputation because it's frequently used by the Freemasons and the world controllers. But as they are using it for quote unquote nefarious or bad purposes, it can be used for good as well, which I tend to do myself, which is
my specific number. A positively charged 33 is good for humanity. I've taught that in many different ways over the years, and hopefully I keep reinforcing that because 33 is very important in my work. Okay, so the disclaimers, the pillars, and the notices are out the way. Let's get into the masterclass. So there is some prerequisite knowledge that I do encourage everyone to study before getting into this module. All right, this is kind of complex information, and if you just have a good base of where I'm coming from, you'll be able to absorb the knowledge even better. So I did release an article on dataproductionsmedia.com going over the Colel rule and the parents of numbers rule, which really get into the flexibility of 1 and 2 in Gematria. This is the article right here. You can just go to dataproductionsmedia.com. It's a really quick read, 4 minutes long, a quick read. There's some Gematria decodes on there, and it will really help boil down what I'm about to talk about because it's very dense. All right, so go and check out this article, learn a little bit, and then you'll be well equipped for what is about to come when it comes to the geometry side of things. Rule of Colel and parent of numbers, and number 1 and 2 are not numbers, both equal 330 in English ordinal. That's that 33. 0, just a value placeholder. Finally, the first slide within the module. Geometry in Gematria. Geometry is a branch of mathematics that deals with the measurement, properties, and relationships of points, lines, angles, surfaces, and solids. Broadly, the study of properties of given elements that remain invariant under specified transformations. This comes from Merriam-Webster. Invariant means it doesn't change. Like, these are rock hard principles within our matrix. Rock hard, that doesn't change over anything. Okay, so keep that in mind. These are stout pillars. All right, numbers are stout pillars. Okay, so gematria connects with geometry equals 137 in reduction, the 33rd prime. Real simple, real easy. Okay, measurement, properties, and relationships of points, lines, angles, surfaces, and solids equals 330 in English reduction. That's powerful. 33, 0 value placeholder. And then we have another powerful one. Gematria, much like worded geometry. Okay, how gematria works, I found out, it's really similar to geometry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those create shapes. We'll get into the monad, the dyad. It's all connected and all related. Okay, so that's why gematria, much like worded geometry, equals 333 in English ordinal. Let's go over some of the terms in geometry that are very important. So a point, it's a dot, shows location, no size. You can consider that's 1. It's divine. A line is a straight path, extends in 2 opposite directions without end, contains infinite points. And in my opinion, a line is 2, both ends, but that really gives us infinite polarity. Anything that happens on that line can be positive or negative. It's a mirror of each other. And then we have a plane. It's a flat surface, extends without end, contains infinite points. In my opinion, 3 in a plane, they're essentially the same thing. And we're going to get into how 3 creates the first shape, which means that is a plane, and how we break through it with tangibility. And so you see there's a couple graphics here, a lot of points, a lot of lines. There's the plane. So definitely pause this video if you need to really just absorb everything that's happening here. But how I see it is a point is 1, a line is 2, and a plane is 3 in a sense when we break through it for tangibility, and we're going to get into it. But here's the gematria, and it kind of solidifies what I've been saying. 1 is a point, 137 English ordinal, the 33rd prime. 2 points make a line, 222 English ordinal, a very powerful number. We understand how 222 is important. Breaking the plane creates 3, also 222 in English ordinal. We also have geometry in the number 2, both equaling 108 in English ordinal and 45 in reduction. So you see there is a connection there. So if you have to pause the slide on the video to just absorb what this is, please do so, because this is really the basis of life in the matrix in general. There is no life without 1, 2, or 3, and it tells you within the gematria. Now let's get into how divinity transcends tangibility. More or less, the numbers 1 and 2 and how they are divine. Being divine means that you might not be able to see it, you might not be able to physically touch it, but you feel it inside yourself. You know it's there. It's always with you. That's 1 and 2. That's why you can use the rule of Colel. That's why you can use the parent of numbers rule, and you can cast those off, because in a lot of senses, they're not real in the sense of physicality. And I have some good descriptions from the book Numbers, Their Occult Power and Mystic Virtues by William Wynne Westcott. After I was going through this research, I had to buy the book so I could learn more. I encourage everybody to get this book as well, because it's going to help you formulate a better thesis on this knowledge. But here's a couple of excerpts from this book. The number 1, or the monad, has been defined by the mathematician Theon of Samira as the principle and element of numbers, which, while multitude can be lessened by subtraction, is itself deprived of every number and remains stable and firm. Let that sink in. Hence, as number, it is indivisible. It remains immutable, and even multiplied into itself remains itself only, its whole. Since once 1 is still 1, and the monad multiplied by the monad remains the immutable monad to infinity, it remains by itself among numbers, for no number can be taken from it or separated from its unity. That's highly important. The monad, number 1, it's whole. It's the whole collective. You can't get more whole than that. All right, that's in a lot of senses is God in itself, the creator in itself. All right, so let that sink in. Again, pause the video if you have to read that description again. Now let's get into number 2 and its divine nature. First, it is the general opposite of the monad. It's the polarity. We're bringing polarity into the mix. The cause of dissimilitude, the interval between multitude and the monad, of figures, though which are characterized by equality and sameness, have relation to the monad. But those in which inequality and the difference predominate are allied to the dyad. Monad and dyad are also called bound and infinity. That's the monad dyad. 1, 2. Whole, then polarity. Whole, then mirror. All right, that's the essence of life. As above, so below. As within, so without. That's the essence of 1 and 2, the divine. And so let's get into the gematria. Divinity transcends tangibility with the monad and dyad, 3,300 in Sumerian, 33. English Sumerian, a very ancient gematria cipher. The numbers 1 and 2 produce form, which is number 3, but isn't form themselves. Remember that. The numbers 1 and 2 produce form, which is number 3, but isn't a form themselves. That's why they are parents of numbers. They together, 1 and 2, create the form. They create the baby of tangibility, but they're not form themselves. They never broke the plane. They're just the line. There's no shape. Divine energy, 1 is a point, 1 is a parent, all equal 137 in English ordinal, while 1 is a point and 1 is a parent, both equal 56 in reduction. We have God, which equals 26 in English ordinal and 17 in reduction, with parent of numbers, which equals 206 in English ordinal. Remember, cast off that 0, it's 26. So you see that connection. God, parents of numbers, 26. Highly important in the connection. But then we have that 71 in reduction in the reverse. Because the parents of numbers, though in many cases it symbolizes God, it's not God. So that's why you see that in reverse with the 17 and 71. Then we have divine, which equals 36 in reduction, 36 reverse reduction. Then we have no form equaling 36 in reduction as well, but also equals 81 in English ordinal, with the plane equaling 81 in ordinal and 36 in reduction and 36 in reverse reduction. So you're seeing all these connections there. Divinity and divine digit both equal 112 in English ordinal. The use of 1 and 2. Those are the divine numbers. Those are the divine digits. 1 and 2 are not really numbers, and 1 and 2 birth tangible formation both equal 330 in English ordinal. 33. 1 and 2 in digits are formless, and a number 1 seen as a 0 in gematria, those both equal 333 in English ordinal. 1 and 2 in digits are formless. The number 1 seen as 0 in gematria, 333. Powerful stuff. Very powerful. Formless, monad, and dyad equal 333 in reverse ordinal. And we have numbers that are formless in matrix, and monad and dyad are formless within matrix, both equaling 380 in English ordinal, which is at 38, and with energy equals 38 in reduction. And we also have numbers that are formless in matrix, 137 in English reduction, and both of these as well equal 187 in the reverse reduction. So again, highly powerful. And we have numbers 1 and 2 eludes form. That equals 1,377, which can be seen as a big 137, and that's in English Sumerian. So right here, if you have to pause this the slide again on the video, do so. Divinity transcends tangibility. Before getting into the last slide of the module, I want to let you guys know I do have a Patreon page where you can help support the channel. And I will be putting the PDF in Word document form of the module on my Patreon for people who actually want a physical copy to print out or to continue to look back at. If you don't want to look at the YouTube video, that's going to be on my Patreon. But say, if you want to support the channel and you like my Gematria stocks, what I do in the Gematria stock community, I have a dividend portfolio we monitor. Over $2,000 I have invested into it. I have a Gematria stocks newsletter. We have a monthly private call at the end of each month, at the last Sunday of each month, where we get together, we have a conference call, and I have a huge presentation on the things I'm looking at within the stock market. We talk crypto a little bit, and we make money. That's 100%. We make money. People can attest to that. And so if you want to join the stock market financial portion of my community, that's only $5 a month, and you get so much resources, a lot of knowledge to help you in your decoding journey. It happens everywhere within the stock market, and that gives us that edge. Say if you like my sports content, I do have monthly sports documentaries chock full of Gematria decodes. It's uncensored because it's too real for YouTube. Each month, I drop a new sports documentary, and they're always bangers. Right now, on my Vimeo, I have over 24 30-minute long documentaries. So much knowledge in these. And when I get to the 33 video mark, I'm going to be compiling all of them together, and I'm going to be making, I guess, like a premium cassette package, much like ESPN 30 for 30. And I'm going to try to sell that. But if you, just for $5 a month, you can get all access to all 24 of my monthly sports documentaries. Highly valuable. It's great entertainment, and you learn something. But say if you like both my Gematria Stocks newsletters with my private call and my monthly sports documentaries for only $8.63 a month, that's a $1.37 discount, the 33rd Prime. You can get my Dream Schemers Ultimate Woke Pack, where you get both of these. That's a really good value, and I think it's really worth it. If you really want to learn about this knowledge, you want to see how the sports world works, you want to see how the stock market works, and make money, that's the one you want to get. So that's my Patreon, and please, if you want to help support, that's where you can. I have other YouTube channels as well. I have the Sports Vault, ESPN number one, ESPN Enemy number one. This is a strictly sports channel. No Gematria decodes on here, but it's still conspiracy based. YouTube doesn't really like the Gematria, so I took all my videos I've done in the past, cut the Gematria out, but it still holds a lot of value and a lot of entertainment. So many videos on here. We have 38 videos so far. And that's just another way where you can help support the growth of Data Productions Media as a whole. Now, for the people who enjoy the stock market and want to get some little tidbits here and there, I have a new channel called Stock Market Gematria with Data Capital Investment. I have so many mini clips up here on just like different, money nuggets that you can go through. I talk about different stocks in the past. I go over different money concepts. I drop clips from my conference calls, my monthly conference calls on here as well. And so if you want to make money and you don't necessarily want to join my Patreon for some reason, you can still go here and you can learn a lot. A lot of value here, a lot of different concepts, crypto, stock market, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, so much knowledge here. So please subscribe to either one of these or both. Stock Market with Gematria with Data Capital Investment, the Sports Vaults, ESPN number one. Another opportunity to get within the community is my Discord. That's going to be in the link in the description below. All the links are in the description or comment section below. It's a free Discord. Amazing community. Over 300 people are in it, and we talk all the time. Gematria, stocks, life, spirituality, conspiracies, music, whatever. It's really open-ended, but it's just a great group of people, and you can join. It's free, and I want you to be a part of it so we can communicate together as one. And so that's all the plugs I have. Let's get back to this last slide and finish up the video. Breaking the plane to tangibility, the triangle. Photius observes that the triad is the first odd number in energy. It is the first perfect number and is a middle and analogy. The Pythagoreans referred it to physiology. It is the cause of all that has the triple dimension, the 3D realm. It's the first number that we have within the 3D realm, tangibility. Very important. It is also the cause of good counsel, intelligence, and knowledge. It is a mistress of music, mistress also of geometry, possesses authority in whatever pertains to astronomy and the nature and knowledge of the heavenly bodies, connects and leads them into effects. Every virtue also is suspended from it and proceeds from it. In every zodiacal sign also there are 3 faces, 3 decans, and 3 lords of their triplicy. And among the planets there are 3 fortunes, 3 infortunes, according to the Chaldean, and according to the Chaldeans also, there are 3 ethereal words prior to the spheres of our fixed stars. The triad, the number 3, so important. It creates the triangle, the first tangibility. As you see here, there's a triangle. You need 3 points to make the tangibility. That's the good counsel. All right. And so look, thirds, a third, and 3 points all equal 33 in English reduction. How much more do I need to go? That's so simple right there. Thirds, a third, 3 points, 33 English reduction. That's easy enough, guys. But we can always go further. Triads are the first formations. Earth's third dimension is tangible. breaking plane to enter the matrix, and a triad formation means a broken plane, all equal 330 in English ordinal. 33. It's telling you guys right there. We also have third point, and a triad is formed equaling 133 in English ordinal. We're going to use the parent of number rule. Just cast that out. You have that 33, much like that 0. And third point equals 137 in reverse ordinal. We have triangles is earthly formation, and 3 is the Earth's first number, both equaling 333 in English ordinal and 135 in English reduction. Triangles is earthly formation. 3 is the Earth's first number. You see that. And we have divine energy and breaking of a plane, both equaling 137 in English ordinal and 74 in English reduction. And for the definition of a plane, in geometry, a plane is a flat surface of 2 dimensions. It extends endlessly and has no thickness. You can think of a piece of paper or a surface of a wall as part of a geometric plane. The flat surfaces in plane geometry are known as plane surfaces. And so we get tangibility and we get life. We get life when breaking through. All right. And so in the next module, I'll get into 4, 5, 6, when the arena is really made. And that's when you break through. Tangibility is had with 3, but when do you actually get life? That's 4, and that's when you get through it. All right, that's when you get that flat surface, and that's when you get that 4th dimension. It creates the arena. It creates when you can move around. It creates the matrix, right? So that's what we're going to have in our next module. Whenever I do that, we'll get into the extra numbers. But here's just the bibliography, a couple of the links I used. That's all I had for the module today. It's a lot of dense information, and I don't want to, overload you guys with all of this. So please keep going through this video. Stop it if you have to stop it to look at it. If you need the printout, you can just go to my Patreon. You can get that printout really easily. That's going to be on my tier for $3, $3.33. And so just go over it all. Hopefully you guys learned something from here, and go back to the article, okay? But that's all I have. Art Turner, Data Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations where we scheme our dreams into existence. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. 33 feeds you and me in the financial markets. I'm giving you guys the secret today, not my secret, but the secret to making money in this matrix. Make sure you watch this full video today because this one is an absolute banger. What's up, everybody? Art Turner, Data Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations where we scheme our dreams into existence. Like I said, man, I have a crazy banger for you today. And look, 33 feeds you and me. It's going to be talking about how we can use the number 33 to make money in the stock market, crypto market, any which way, trading, investing, all right? So look, this is not only just a video where you have to, chug along with me through, but this is an article as well. So shout out to Next Level Fan on my Discord. He helped me build up my website server. It's still in the process. I only have this specific article truly finished right now. But look, you can just go to dataproductionsmedia.com, and if you want to ever go back to the information we talked about in this video and just see it in article format, you can go there. All right. I'm building data productions brick by brick, and so keep building with me, keep growing with me, and we're gonna make things happen. Okay. So shout out Next Level Fan for getting this up for me. And I'm gonna utilize it wisely. We're going to watch this clip from the Showtime show Billions, where this hedge fund goes against the SEC office in a storyline battle. But this is a scene from the show, and it goes perfectly in line with what we do in my community on data productions within the markets. So watch.
Guess I'm just not seeing the main thing right now. Settle it, Donnie. Since seeing the Matrix is your entire fucking job, it's kind of like if you were a hurdler and instead of jumping over the fucking hurdle. It's okay, Donnie. You'll see it again.
I hope you like that little clip from the Showtime show Billions, and it's kind of funny how I'm watching it now, but, you saw in the clip where he was like, I'm just not seeing the Matrix right now, and his boss was like, it's your job to see the Matrix. And, this show has been out for a while, for a couple years, so it's funny how I've never seen that show before, but me and my community, in my Discord, we talk exactly the same, and I just want to give a shout out to my Discord, which is free, I might add, and we're making a lot of money, y'all. So, look, this is my Discord. You go in the link in the description below. You can get in for free. You can start, iron sharpen iron with Gematria. But I dropped this clip in the Discord. We talked about it. Hedge funds and billions. Talk like how we talk. Yada, yada, yada. So, we're in there talking and everything like that. So, join us. We're making money together. It's an awesome family. It's a community. It's all positivity. Okay, now let's get into the article. 33 feeds you and me in the financial markets. Let's get the disclaimer out the way. The financial markets are not for the faint of heart. Before investing any money into the markets, one must accept the risks that are naturally at hand. I am not a financial advisor, only a person trying to succeed and feed myself through investing and trading. Look, this is infotainment. This is informative entertainment, okay? And if it helps you, it helps you, but I'm not a financial advisor. What makes me different from the rest? I use the alphanumerical system known as Gematria. In simple terms, ABC equals 1, 2, 3 to research quality companies to invest in for swing to long-term trades. I have been using Gematria for up to a year now to this point, and it was first for my sports documentaries highlighting the scripted nature behind professional sports. I still do that, but now after my GameStop short squeeze experience, in January 2021, I realized Gematria could be used in the financial markets as well, crypto, stocks, commodities. If you have no clue what the practice of Gematria is or just need a refresher, I have a Gematria Masterclass on my YouTube. You can check it out right here or on my playlist. But we're not going to really spend too much time on the technicalities of Gematria today. We're just going to focus on the financial markets and the number 33 and how you can spot it. My first major win in the stock market was GameStop, and my first buys of GameStop was in October 2020. So on October 6, 2020, I bought 30 shares of GME at $10.40. So that was my very first buy ever, way before any short squeeze came into the ethos. And my first post ever on StockTwits was on 10/24. I was relatively new, and I was just saying, hey, hopefully I could be more of an asset to, later conversations. GameStop to the moon. I was all hyped because I saw this short interest, and I was trying to tell people about it. I knew about Gematria at that time, but I did not realize it was so interwoven into stocks and into the mainstream as well. So when Zachary K. Hubbard from Gematria Effect News, Gematria Effect Sports, covered the GameStop short squeeze on his YouTube channel because it was in the mainstream news, I was like, oh snap, it has Gematria with 33. And so when he covered GameStop has 33 Gematria, I was like, wait, my last name has 33 Gematria. So I typed it in and I realized my last name in GameStop match in 3 out of the 4 base English Gematria ciphers. So that's a strong connection. So vibrationally, I was supposed to be a part of that experience. And in the end, I tripled my investment in about 3 months. All right, so, you see that 3-3 there from October to January, tripled it in 3 months. And also, another 33 that popped up within my life, I opened up my TDA account on March 30th, 2020. So 330 or 3333. So another just crazy. But to add on to the actors, a part of the GameStop short squeeze, you have to look at Michael Burry. Because Michael Burry, who called the 2008, I believe the housing crisis, then, he called GameStop. He got in at like $2 and everybody was shorting it, saying, they're going out of business. He got in at $2 and at one point GameStop shooting over $400. And he's going to be calling the water commodity boom crisis later. And when we go into the age of Aquarius, that's a video for another day. But let's look at his name. His full name is Michael James Burry. Michael equals 33 in the full reduction. James and Burry equals 33 in reverse reduction. So his full name is just 33. He's a big 33, and he's an investing guru. So you have to be paying attention to what he's saying, because most likely it's going to come true. You got to see how the Matrix is setting things up, right? And so clearly by the title, we understand that 33 is an important number when it comes to having success and financially enriching yourself within this matrix and game of life. 33 is the master teacher number. We have 33 vertebrae in our spine. So, Freemasons love the number 33 because that essentially means enlightenment. You've hit the last step. 3 is the Trinity. 1 is source. 2 is the polarity. 3 allows connection and surface within our world illusion matrix. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And essentially 33 is just the double numerical power of 3. It's a very powerful, amazing number, and it's throughout finances. Look, in the Chaldean cipher, which is based off sound vibration, so it's a pure cipher, investing and gold coin both equal 33 in the Chaldean. That's big. The nickname for money, Benjamins, equals 33 in the reduction cipher, but also 33 in the reduction KV cipher, where K is 11 and V is 22. Master numbers, big numbers. Then you have trade equaling 33 in reverse reduction. Banking, 303 in satanic, 303 equals 33. Easiest way to make money, 303 in reverse ordinal. And I'm telling you, the easiest way to make money is the number 33 within the stock market using Gematria. I'm giving you the game. Remember, 0 is just a value placeholder. So the first curveball for people who aren't familiar with Gematria, financial markets equals 137 in English ordinal. Why am I bringing up 137? Well, 137 is important because it's the 33rd prime number. It's the 33rd prime number. Well, what's a prime number? A prime number is greater than 1 with only 2 factors, themselves and 1. A prime number cannot be divided by any other numbers without leaving a remainder. So it's a very special and important number. And 137 is the important 33rd one. And so let's talk about the gematria of the 137. The number 33 is all you need for stocks. 137 in the full reduction cipher. The number 33 will feed yourself. That's in the septenary cipher. The septenary cipher is important because its focus is on the number 7 and it's divine. It's used in scripture. So always in scripture, the Bible and the holy texts, they always talk about, feed yourself in so many different allegories and different ways and quotes. And so when I see that, I think that's very important. The number 33 in stocks, 137 Jewish reduction. Dead presidents, just like the dead presidents on the dollar bills, 137 Jewish ordinal. Gold coin equals 137 in reverse ordinal. And shout out to Goods Decodes. Give us subscribe to his channel. Go check him out, Goods Decodes. He is also my Discord. So look, we have some heavy hitters in the Gematria community in my Discord. So if you want to communicate with Goods, go in there. And he brings fire, and he helped me with this little tidbit of information. He says, remember the 137 and 33 connection? 137 is the 33rd prime. There's a reason for that, because the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, was established on May 17th. That's the 137th day of the year in New York. New York equals 33. That's important, but there is a twist to it, and we're going to get into it. May 17th, outside of leap years, is the 137th day of the year, right? But when it's a leap year, it's the 138th. Funny enough, Wall Street in 1792, it fell on the 138th day of the year. It was a leap year. So I'm like, wow, could that be an illusion? Obviously, 137 is important because of the 33rd prime, New York, 33, everything like that. But it was a leap year. Why did the Matrix choose a leap year? So I did some research, did some gematria. Leap year equals 33 in keypad. The stock market can be an illusion, 303 in Jewish ordinal. New York, 33 in reverse reduction. A leap year is illusionary. 1037 is satanic. 1037 is 137. A leap year is illusionary. Wow. So it's all just an illusion. They're telling you. The gematria is telling you. Even though it was on a leap year. We know leap year in the keypad cipher is 33. The stock market can be an illusion. 303. So this is an illusion as well. Still goes back to 33. New York. Look. New York and illusion match in English ordinal, full reduction, and English Sumerian. Look. New York, illusion, 111, 39, 666. Is that by accident? I don't think so. And so it all makes sense right here. You have to understand the history behind the matrix to make better decisions in your future for investing in the financial markets. And so I just want to give a plug to The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clausen. It's a phenomenal read on how an average person of any trade or profession can build themselves up to be a wealthy individual. I highly recommend the book. It changed my perspective on things. And it doesn't matter what job you have. You could have the greatest job in the world. You could have not so honorable job in the world. But you can still get your way to financial freedom through the principles in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. So if you actually go to the article on my website, you can check out the book on Amazon. And so this is where stuff really gets interesting. Before we go into the last part of the video, I just want to let you guys know I do have a Patreon where you can get my Gematria stocks specific picks, where I actually go through with Gematria with thousands of connections where we'll make sure we get it in the stocks at the right price at the right time. That's only $5 a month, and you can download all the PDF files out, and you can use it at your own disposal. Okay, so we're making money together. If you want it, that little extra help, you can get it there. I also have the monthly sports documentaries. We're killing it. I have 4 right now. So I'm, building a little mini Netflix right now with great documentaries. Both of these are only $5 a month for each of them. But if you want both because you really love my stuff, the Dream Schemers Ultimate Woke Pack, that's only $8.63 per month. And that's $137. That's a $1.37 discount, which is the 33rd Prime. So if you want to get that ultimate woke, sports documentaries and money making ability with my PDFs, that's where you can go. Back to the video. I normally don't decode this way primarily, but I always take note in the back of my head. And this is from an excerpt of another great book that I love that helped me so much, from Michael S. Schneider's book, A Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, the Mathematical Archetypes of Nature, Art, and Science. So when talking about the number 3, he first talks about how 1 and 2 are parent numbers. Since 1 and 2 were considered by ancient mathematical philosophers to be the parents of numbers, their firstborn 3, the Greek triad, is the first and eldest number. Its geometric expression, the equilateral triangle, is the initial shape to emerge through the portal of the Vesica Piscis, the first of many. I love this book. I absolutely love this book, okay? And you know what? I'm just going to show you guys right now. I'm just going to get it. I'm going to show you guys right now. I have both books right here. Read them both. Read them both. I have both books right here. So I highly recommend these books. They've helped me so much in my financial and numerical journey. So check out those links. So this is a little bit more advanced. I wouldn't start off with this technique with newbies, but once they start becoming more experienced, then you can start to put that in their tool bag, right? But if you want to be a better investor and use this knowledge, you have to keep mind of this. But yeah, let's look at some of these permutations. Best investments in financial markets, and the number 33 means better investments equals, both of them equal 133 in the reduction cipher. So look, chop off that 1, that equals 33. We see the eldest number in the world, 133, in reverse reduction, that 33. And then we have that reverse. Obviously, the 33rd prime shows you 331 in reverse ordinal. And hold your gold till you're old equals 313 in English ordinal. So you see all those permutations of 33. All important, right? And I'll go back to that important number. Okay, so one last story about myself. Stocks and the number 33. When I was a senior in high school, my AP government class had this curriculum-wide stock market contest with 150 kids. I ended up winning the whole contest. I was the #1 student. And this was my second post of all time on my Instagram account, my private Instagram account. But, you know, the date of it is very important. So 18-year-old Art posted about his stock market success on June 21st, 2013. That was when I posted. This is my second post of all time on my IG account. So June 21st, 2013. And that has date numerology of 33. And I had a net worth of $112,167.02. And so when you spell that out, $112,167.02, that equals 303 in Jewish reduction. Wow, 33. My net worth in the Jewish reduction cipher. That's big time. To conclude everything for today, you know, I'm not a financial advisor. You have to take your own investing risks on your own. But I do believe I vibrationally have a knack for understanding how to use this knowledge for the betterment of my finances and share this information that could potentially help yourself. And I have some more gematria to kind of back it up. D.A.T.A. Turner, IV, my full name, and gematria, 330 in the reverse ordinal. And so look, D.A.T.A. Turner IV and gematria in reverse English ordinal gematria equals 303 in single reduction, where S is 10. D.A.T.A. and gematria, 303 reverse ordinal. D.A.T.A. Turner IV and gematria, 137 in the keypad. And like I said, if you want to get started on your path to financial freedom using the practice of gematria or other esoteric knowledge, join my free Discord. Obviously, just hit the link when you go to the article or in the comment below in the description and join. It's free and we have a blast. We're all a big family. And look, data stock Discord in 2022, 303 reverse ordinal. So it's going to be big time. And look, if you're looking for my gematria stock analyst, hit that link as well. For my Patreon, I have thousands of connections from, you know, multiple stocks that we're in as a community right now that we're killing it in. So go over there, and if you want to learn more, get more in tune with specific stocks for that premium stuff, you know, that's for the Patreon. My email's here, everything like that. So that's the article, y'all. Go to this, you learn from it, and you guys make money with me together. That's all I have. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Using multiple gematria ciphers when decoding a concept is totally 100% acceptable and valid. And in this video today, I'm going to show you why. Make sure you watch this full video because this one is an absolute banger. What's up, everybody? Art Turner, D.A.T.A. Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations where we scheme our dreams into existence. Like I said in the intro, I have a banger and I have a very important video. Trolls and bots like to go into my comment section and say that I use way too many gematria ciphers and I jump around too much. They say my decoding method is not valid. That's simply not the case. And in today's video, I'm going to show you why, and it's going to be backed with some Kabbalistic terms. In this community, people like to base gematria off Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. It's way bigger than that. But if we're going to primarily base our community, our knowledge off the Kabbalah, off Jewish mysticism, well, we should at least know the terms. And by Kabbalistic views, I am in the right with how I decode. So I'm going to show you today. Make sure you go to dataproductionsmedia.com. I have my own website. There's a lot of different articles that you can check out. A lot of great resources. So let's get straight into the article. Using multiple gematria ciphers. Ketfizah, Siruf, letter manipulation. Those are Kabbalistic terms. We're going to go over them as we go further. We are going to be focusing on mixing two ciphers together today as a basic mixture of how to come up with conclusions. But I would be remiss if I don't speak on the English ordinal cipher even just a little bit. It's the most common gematria cipher, ABC equals 1, 2, 3. So let's get that backbone out of the way. Using multiple gematria ciphers and Chaldean and Pythagorean gematria ciphers both equal 330 in English ordinal. You know, with the zero rule, you just cast that off. That's 33. In the community, don't we like seeing 33? 33 is a powerful number, the master teacher number. 33 steps to enlightenment. You can't get past ancient numerology, ancient gematria, without accounting for 33. And as you see, I talked about the Chaldean and the Pythagorean gematria ciphers. So those are the two ciphers we're going to focus on today. The Pythagorean cipher is the same as the English full reduction. Don't get confused, it's just a different name, but same systematic setup numerology-wise. So in the intro, I talked about there are Kabbalistic terms that actually state that letter manipulation is okay when it comes to gematria, when it comes to using this knowledge. People like to criticize me, but they don't even know the terms behind the system that they use. Not me. I come with the research. I brought this book up before in previous videos. Get the Kabbalah Handbook by Gabriella Samuel. It's a great book. It's an encyclopedia. Oh man, obviously you see thousands of terms that you can go through. If you really are serious about this knowledge, I really recommend this book. All right. So I'm serious about this knowledge. So that's why I'm reading it. You see my notes. You see where I'm at. I still have a lot to go, but we're learning along the way. I found this very interesting term in this handbook. The term was Ketfizah. So let's talk about what Ketfizah is. Ketfizah is a Kabbalistic method of tziruf, letter manipulation, that utilizes one system, then another. For example, using ciphers, then the @bash code. Ketfizah means jumping, as in jumping from one letter manipulation method to another. Kabbalists use Ketfizah to induce a state of elevated spiritual consciousness in order to gain mystical knowledge or access supernal realms. Page 162, the Kabbalah Handbook, Gabriella Samuel. Here's the screenshot of the term Ketfizah, and here's the cover of the book, the Kabbalah Handbook. If you are interested, go to Amazon, check it out, buy it, and then you will learn a lot, I promise. I highly recommend it. So I already said that we're going to focus on two gematria ciphers, and in my opinion, they're one of the two most important gematria ciphers you can use. That's why it's important sometimes to mix and match them together, because you can get a wider spectrum of a conclusion. Don't get bogged down and everything has to be so structured and so narrow. We're talking about the matrix here, infinite source. Don't let one doctrine dictate the full matrix, because that's not how this world works. Jewish mysticism is just one part, one really small subsection of how the matrix really works. And you really think they have the utmost power over gematria, over numerology? In past videos, I've said there's other civilizations that have used number and letter manipulation before the Kabbalists got a hold of this. Right off the bat, they're not the first. If they're not the first, they can't be the end-all, be-all. But they are very important to the craft. I do say that. Let's start with some gematria decodes. Ketfizah equals 33 in Chaldean gematria. We're going to talk about what the Chaldean cipher is based off vibrations and stuff like that. Then we have tziruf equals 33 in English reduction, or it's the Pythagorean cipher. So you see that 33 connection with both ciphers, but also tziruf equals 32. Very close to 33. When we talk about the rule of Colel, you're allowed that plus minus range of one digit. So it goes right in line. And the Chaldean gematria cipher system is based off sound vibrations. So not all the numbers and letters are systematically in order. F is 8. G is 3, because it's based off a different perspective. There's a couple links I have in the article that you can go check out where they talk about it more, what the Chaldean cipher is based off of. Chaldean numerology is based on the principles that the universe is built by vibrations, and that everything is vibrations that vibrate
with different frequencies. Every frequency attracts its equal. A balanced vibration attracts other balanced vibrations, and unbalanced vibrations attract similarly unbalanced vibrations. Remember, I've said in the past that when you see number calculations, that's a specific vibration. And if they're similar, if they're the same, or if they're just off one, you can make a conclusion that they somehow have a relation. Not always, but sometimes. And as you see, you can tell they have a relation here using two ciphers. Nushbatazar, or Iraq today, was a place where the largest initial community of the Chaldean system existed. This society had very strong prophetic abilities. If you're using Gematria, especially how I like to use it, I like to try to sometimes look out into the future. What does it mean? How can I use this information that I'm decoding today for tomorrow, for the next week, for the next year? And with this system, as what this link is saying, this community using Chaldean numerology was very, very accurate when it came to prophecies. However, it was also famous for its well-developed religious structure. Chaldean culture left a legacy of the most strange and mysterious books, sacred readings, and mythology. Later in the 19th century, these readings gained popularity in occult circles. Nowadays, the occult traces of Chaldean culture exist no more, but its numerological system withstood the test of time and is very popular among numerologists. Like myself, like people who watch this video, we know about the Chaldean cipher. We understand that it's important. It is connected to astral aspects and spiritual connections. Very, very potent cipher. Using different Gematria ciphers is okay when done with a specific purpose and can be explained easily. That equals 330 in Chaldean. Going further, using multiple Gematria ciphers unlocks a wider spectrum of understanding when decoding the matrix. That also equals 330 in the Chaldean cipher. Going even further, and to top it off, using multiple Gematria ciphers offers wider spectrum of understanding when decoding the matrix. 333 in Chaldean. So look, you see, we have 330, 330, 333. So many threes, 33. And it's all based off the same concept of using multiple Gematria ciphers. It's okay when used properly. You know, you can get a wider spectrum of understanding. Now, let's incorporate the Pythagorean cipher, or the English for reduction cipher. It's the English language, but the only difference is it's just 1 through 9 numerology. Instead of the English ordinal going 1 through 26, you know, A equaling 1, Z equaling 26, we have A equaling 1, then it goes to I equaling 9, then back to J equaling 1, and so forth. All right, 1 to 9, then back. It's reduced. So we have using multiple Gematria ciphers is an effective practice when presented easily. 333 in reduction or Pythagorean. 333. We like seeing that number. That's a powerful number. So it's telling us if you are effectively presenting it in an easy way to understand, using multiple Gematria ciphers is okay. And that's what I preach on this channel. That's what I teach. If you're going to go a specific way for your Gematria decoding, make sure you can explain it to other people. That's one of my biggest rules. I don't get caught up into, oh, this is the correct way, this is not the correct way. There's a lot of different ways to reach conclusions in the world. Like, there's a lot of different ways to make $1 million, right? And so now let's get into that Chaldean and English reduction Pythagorean symbiosis with some of the decodes together. Ketfizah. Using different Gematria ciphers is okay when practiced properly. 334 in reduction. If we use the Colel rule, you know, that plus minus 1 digit, we can get that 333 if we do so choose. But we don't necessarily have to if we don't want to for this one, right? Ketfizah can mean using different Gematria ciphers to reach a certain conclusion. That also equals 334 in reduction, Pythagorean. So now let's get to Chaldean. Anybody can decode the infinite spectrum of vibrations inside the matrix using multiple Gematria ciphers. That equals 334 in Chaldean. So you see 334 in both the reduction and the Chaldean cipher, talking about multiple Gematria ciphers when decoding. If you want to use the rule of Colel, 333 for all of them.
If you don't know what the rule of Colel is, I have a link in in my article as well. Again, it's the plus minus of one digit, where if it's one off, you can say it's close enough. Rule of Colel: valid, accurate, and acceptable. 137 in the Chaldean cipher, the 33rd prime. If you go to my Discord in the link below, you can learn more about the Pythagorean and Chaldean cipher symbiosis. One of my good friends, Nate, DDD, 231, he breaks it down really great. You know, you could just hit the search bar and he brings up how it connects with astrology and everything like that. He says the Pythagorean and Chaldean ciphers are brother and sister, twins, if you will. That's why it's okay to use multiple ciphers, because they relate off each other. Also, want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get my Gematria stocks, newsletters, and notes. We talk about stocks. We make money. I also have my monthly sports documentaries. That's also $5 a month as well. But say if you want both and support my channel, you can get the Dream Schemers Ultimate Woke Pack. That's $8.63 a month. That's a $1.37 discount to 33rd Prime. Obviously, it's a great deal. Inflation hasn't hit Data Productions Media. You still get great content to help you make money and to elevate your mind, enlighten your mind via the sports realm and other topics. Right now, I have 11 premium documentaries on my Patreon tier for my documentaries. I'm going up on a year now soon. So if you haven't checked out my premium content yet, you're missing out. It's cheaper than Netflix. Not all that propaganda that's on Netflix either. Okay, so just consider it. But that's all I have for you guys today. It's a quick video, but I wanted to get this out because I'm not annoyed about the comments. They're helping out my algorithm with the interaction. It's just I don't want people who are new coming to my page who haven't seen me yet to not understand that I got this handled, right? You know, I come with facts, back with research and everything of the sorts. I'm not just jumping around. And I have Kabbalistic terms to back up my methods with the Gematria. So to all the trolls and bots out there, you guys are just wrong. Show me your work and show me your reasoning behind it, and then maybe you'll change my mind. But until then, I'm going to keep doing me. My community is going to keep succeeding how we succeed and how we decode. All right, but we're not going to be competitive or competitive with another person's style if it makes sense. We're playing our own game here at Data Productions Media. All right, and so community members, remember that we are playing our own game. We have to stay in our lane, and we'll be okay in the end. But that's all I have for you guys. Art Turner, Data Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations, where we scheme our dreams into existence. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. The rule of Colel, parents of numbers rule, and the flexibility of number 1 and 2 in Gematria. Make sure you watch this full video today because this one's going to be an absolute banger. What's up, everybody? Art Turner, Data Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations, where we scheme our dreams into existence. Like I said in the intro, we have another banger for you today. It's going to be technical. It's going to be quick. It's going to be dense. But it's going to be simplified. We don't have to go too deep into it because it's right on the surface, but it's powerful when you go out into the Gematria waters yourself, trying to find answers when you decode. The two rules we're going to talk about is the rule of Colel and the parents of numbers rule, which revolve around number 1 and 2 and its flexibility when decoding in the Gematria space. All right, so this is going to be jam-packed. If you don't already know, I have my own website, dataproductionsmedia.com, where you can check out all my other articles from the past in relation to the videos I make on YouTube. So you can check this out when you have more time, but let's get into the article. Okay, so to start off on the right foot, we have some Gematria decodes. We have rule of Colel and parent of numbers, and number 1 and 2 are not numbers. Those both equal 330 in English ordinal. As you understand, 0 is just a value placeholder, so you can see that as 33. Those are powerful yet simple decodes when it comes to these two rules. Rule of Colel, parent of numbers. Okay, those are the two rules. 33, 330 English ordinal, and it's off the basis of 1 and 2 not being real numbers. Number 1 and 2 are not numbers. Same same decode, 330 English ordinal. Okay, so that's how we're going to start off. Really simply, but it's powerful and it sticks to the point. And so let's get into the rule of Colel first. What is the rule of Colel? Well, we have a powerful decode, okay? Rule of Colel is valid decode in Gematria, 333 English ordinal. So off the bat, you know, it's Gematria certified. It's valid. It's okay to use this rule, okay? So don't listen to somebody if they say, "Oh, this isn't accurate." They don't know what they're talking about, okay? And so let me give a description and explanation on what the rule of Colel is, if you don't already know. The Kabbalistic rule of Colel states that one digit can be added to or subtracted from the gematria value of a word without affecting its value. That's very important. That gives you leeway, okay? So 332 can be seen as 333, or 334 can be seen as 333. This seems to modern ears to be a cheat. However, the Kabbalists explained the rule by pointing out for them, 1 was not a number. The monad symbolizes the divinity and could come and go as he pleased, adding nothing and taking nothing away. All right, so that's very important. The monad, that's what 1 is seen as. For another powerful gematria decode, we have plus or minus 1, Colel's rule, 333 English ordinal. Again, really easy to see, simple, energetic, powerful. You're allowed to add or subtract 1 when using the rule of Colel. Now, let's get to some other gematria decodes with this relation. So now looking at the words Colel and monad, they both share the same calculations in the 4 base English ciphers. Look, Colel, 47, 20, 88, 25. Monad, 47, 20, 88, 25. So boom, off the bat, you see they are related. They have the same vibrational energy. There's a connection there. All right, Colel, monad. Simple. Don't overthink it, okay? And this is what Shakespeare says in one of his sonnets on this concept. Okay, he says, among a number 1 is reckoned none, which means, number 1 can be seen as nothing or 0. So, but look at the decode, all right? Among a number 1 is reckoned none. 304 English ordinal. So you can use the Colel rule there to get that 303, 33. You have that 133 in English reduction as well. We like seeing that, which incorporates with the parent number rule, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But so also understand this comes from his sonnet 136 from William Shakespeare. So see what we have. Sonnet 136, which in a lot of cases you can see that as a Colel rule situation, because we know 137 is the 33rd prime. So it's funny that William Shakespeare's sonnet 136 is just 1 digit away from 137, that divine that number with that 33 prime. And so you like to see that, especially when it equals 34 in English reduction, just 1 digit away from 33. All right, we know how powerful 33 is. Then we have sonnet 136 equaling 223 in English ordinal. We understand 223 is a scripture, powerful, energetic number when it comes to scripting and writing and whatnot. But also, it's 1 digit away from 222, which is all about control, having structure, putting things in a box. Man, William Shakespeare coded all up and down. And it goes on to say the word Colel seems to derive from the Hebrew verb KLL, to make perfect or whole. The rule of Colel was described by Moses Cordovero in Padres Ramonin, written in 1549. So this is an ancient rule. This is ancient practice, okay? We're talking about, 500 years or more of this practice. It was also later published by Krakow in 1592. A more modern reference to the rule is found in John Mitchell's City of Revelation, London, 1972. You can find this at masoncode.com, Colel. That's where I pulled it from. Simple, easy. I use it sometimes Again, there's multiple ways to decode gematria, but the rule of Colel gives you a verified way for flexibility. When we're talking about these large numbers, um, you're not going to get exactly on all the time, and that's okay. All right, so that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. If it's 34, you can see that as 33. If it's 32, you can see that as 33. In the energetic realms, in the Masonic realms, they've said that's close enough. Okay, and so I don't want to see anybody, discredit somebody using this rule because it's correct. We also have Moses Cordovero, the rule of Colel, equaling 136, English reduction, much like the sonnet 136, just one digit away to that 137. So you see all these connections. It's right there in the coding. The story tells itself. So now we have the parent of numbers rule, okay? And so the parent of numbers rule is based off the notion that the number 1 and 2 are parents of numbers and are not actual numbers themselves, meaning 1 and 2 can be seen as 0 in some cases, depending on your decoding method. I use this method a lot in my case, all right? So for example, 133 can be seen as 33. You could just take off that 1 with the 1 removed. Same with the number 2. 233 can be seen as 33 with the parent of numbers rule. All right. I don't usually use 2 too much. I don't use the number 2 a lot when it comes to the parent number rule, but it's possible, and it's a theory I have. It's a theory I have, and there's decodes that show why. Okay. And here's the decodes. Parent number rule is accurate, 303 ordinal, English ordinal. Accurate parents of number rule, 334 ordinal. So you see that right off the bat. Number 1 and 2 are parents of numbers in numerology, 222 in English reduction, powerful. 1 and 2 is seen as 0 in gematria, and 1 and 2 can be casted away in gematria, both 137 in English reduction. 133 is a common number for the parent of numbers rule usage, 330 in English reduction. All right, and so that's very simple. The monad, the dyad, the mother, the father, they create 3. Now, I just wanted to get this article out quick because I'm going to be doing a larger presentation on the divinity, the spirituality of 1, 2, and 3, and how we come together to make this realm, this matrix, and tangibility. That's going to be a deep, deep presentation. But this article right now just, scratches the surface on what you can do with these 2 numbers and how you can extrapolate that out. So this is just like a very simple article video to help people out. And the book that helped me find more understanding on all numbers, but more specifically 1 and 2, was The Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, Mathematical Archetypes, Nature, Art, and Science. And you can order the book. It's helped me tremendously to understand how numbers have constructed our world. And, without 1 and 2, there can't be a 3, 4, or 5. There can't be anything that we see in the realm without first having the parents, okay? And that's 1 and 2, the monad and the dyad. Okay, but before we finish up this video, I just want to let you guys know I do have a Patreon where you can support. I would love the support. We're growing every day. And there's a couple ways you can support. I have my Gematria stocks, newsletters, and notes. I have my private call at the end of the month, which is coming up this Sunday, May 28th. We're going to do it at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. noon. We're going to talk about all the different stocks we're in and whatnot. And I'm going to show you my Discord, which you can join, which is free. But I have a conference call section where I go over, the meeting outline before the meeting. So we're going to be talking about bubblegum, schoolyard economics, drug dealing in conglomerate American history, quick update, Camber Energy, Viking Energy merger. We have my data capital dividend portfolio overview. We're going to be talking about fertilizer stocks in relation to corn prices, the Japanese stock market, and how those businesses are going to be doing in the next couple years. So it's going to be a jam-packed third conference call. We've been doing it the last 2 months. I'm going to keep continuing to do it because they're valuable, and people come in and we talk so much. So consider to join this Patreon tier. It's only $5 a month, and I think that's very valuable because you get all my other decodes, all my other presentations, the PDFs in the past, okay? And so that's major, that's big time. Also have a monthly sports documentary tier. That's only $5 a month. I have over 20 videos on my Vimeo right now. You see all the different videos I have, all 30-minute plus videos, heavy Gematria decodes, raw, uncut, just private, exclusive content that you're not going to get on YouTube because of censorship. And also, you know, for this month, we're going to have that symbolism in the Boondocks Red Ball episode. You know, there's 33 energy behind that, and I've cried so many times watching that episode because it's so powerful. So I can't wait to showcase that at the end of the month, May 31st when it comes out. But remember, I already have over 20 videos you can choose from for only $5 a month. But say if you want to get my Gematria Stocks newsletters with my private calls and my sports documentaries for only $8.63 a month, which is a $1.37 discount to 33rd Prime, you can get both of those, okay? And that's my most popular package tier that you can choose from. Highly valuable, and I don't think you'll regret that. So if you want to help support the channel, help the growth, we're growing every day. You know, entering my Patreon community is not only an investment within yourself to better yourself, but it's an investment within backing this community. And that's major because we're doing a lot of great things, and more people on board, the better. Okay, so thank you for the support. Thank you for all my supporters on Patreon thus far. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. You guys have been staying 10 toes down for me, and we're going to keep going. So thank you for that. If you want, I also have a couple other YouTube channels you can browse as well. I have the Sports Vaults, ESPN, Enemy Number One. This is a strictly sports channel. No Gematria. It's still conspiracy based, just without the Gematria decodes because YouTube doesn't necessarily like that. But I have, 38 videos on here. I also have that Boondocks episode breakdown coming, season 3, episode 3 coming as well. So stay tuned for that. I also have a purely stock market Gematria financial YouTube channel as well. This one is relatively newer, so more subscribers the better. And I'm putting on all my old financial content that's still valuable and relevant because there's a lot of Gematria decodes that you can use for the future. But I'm also putting a lot of content from the conference calls. All right, I'm putting clips from the conference calls in there. So this is a valuable YouTube channel if you're strictly just wanting to see financial Gematria decodes and financial work. So consider subscribing to both these channels for stocks and the sports stocks. I would love it, and it would help the growth in D.A.T.A Productions Media as a whole. Remember to join my Discord. We're growing every day. But that's all I have for you guys today. A very simple article, very simple video, quick to the point. You can use the rule of Colel. You can use the parent of number rule, okay? 1 and 2 are very flexible. They can be seen as 0 because they are divine. And again, I'm going to be doing a much larger presentation on how this world works with numbers and how tangibility becomes a thing from 1 and 2. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be really good. So with that being said, Art Turner, D.A.T.A Productions Media, dreams are tangible aspirations where we scheme our dreams into existence. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.